mission, on mission. Trying to get it right. Transition. Changing the way that I see life. Transition mind. I'm on a mission. On a mission. Trying to get it right. I'm transitioning my life. Making a transition. Ooh, making a transition. Ooh, 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 ooh. Making a transition. Ooh, 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 ooh. Making a transition. Trying to mission, a mission. I'm on a mission. On a mission. I'm trying to get it right. Changing the way that I see life. Transitioning my life. On a mission. On a mission. On a mission.
All right, that's better. Welcome, 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 welcome. This is Alchemizing Energy. And, I have been just watching in the bushes all this different stuff when it comes to Pan-Africanism. And I think it's really interesting to see how polarizing this whole subject has been. Now, I did an interview with T3 and me where we actually discussed some of the issues that was going on with them. Being people that have like moved to South Africa to Tanzania, and some of the things that they had to go through. But it's interesting that even though like they're going through whatever they're going through, you have other so-called Pan-Africanists that have moved from America over to Africa, and they are like pretty much creating a discord and like just calling each other pookies and this and the other. And I don't understand what the issue is. So without further ado, I'm gonna show you guys what was being said. I'm gonna show you what they said, and then I'm gonna go into Tariq Nasheed's whole FBA argument and how that's being kind of used. Sometimes when we start a movement, people will take the movement and then they will go their own way. Does that mean that the movement is wrong or dead or whatever? It just means that, it has changed over time. So even though like most people in the FBA movement will say like, you know what, Pan-Africanism is dead. Like when you actually hear some of the rhetoric that's going on, I don't think that's even close to what Tariq Nasheed was trying to even have going on in the FBA movement. So my question is that at what point does a movement begin to take its own wings? I can make a song. And everyone is going to interpret that song differently based on whatever their life experience is. So once I make it, it's out of my hands what happens and what people interpret it as and what they use it for motivation after I make that art form, And so Tariq Nasheed made the FBA like lineage thing. He brought that up. And I did a whole like live discussing like Dr. Claude Anderson showed his whole live. And I might even get into Dr. Henry Clark where we say we have no friends. But the bottom line is that I think that we have lost our way when it really comes down into like, who are we? Now there was a whole kings, no kings, a no kings thing going on, and a lot of us like opted out of that whole no kings rally, but over time I understand why we did, because a lot of times when we get into these rallies they become way more intense. I don't know why all of a sudden, so now that we're not involved, now it's peaceful, but when we are involved it becomes a whole like where it's violent, it's this, it's Antifa, is this, that, the other. So I really want to get into the psychological thing that's really happening in our community when it really comes down to these things. So let's just start off first with what O'Shea Duke Jackson is saying about the whole Pan-African Pookie movement. So let's start off with that because he calls them Pookies. All right, let's go.
For bringing these National Guards and doing what they're doing down here in Memphis right now. You know, for the first time in 5 years. I've been in my home for 5 years. And for the first time, my kids have been able to play in the backyard and be able to do it comfortably. I haven't heard a shot in 2 weeks.
This lady was named Dee Dee Manning, and as you heard, she thanked Donald Trump for reducing the crime in Memphis. But you had so many people out there who attacked her for being a sellout, even though she was glad that her kids could go out there and play. And some people came to her defense.
So that black lady from Memphis got on here and said that she finally got a little smidget of peace because she can walk outside with her kids and they can go play, and she ain't heard a child go off in about 2-3 weeks since, you know, Trump done sent the National Guard out there to Memphis. And turned around and said she a Trump supporter and she supporting Trump like that. And all she said was her children can go outside and she ain't had to worry about or hear no more shots pop off in her street for 3 weeks, and she got a smidget of peace. And that's what y'all heard that and said, oh, that's what's wrong with y'all. That's why all this black community, black blah blah blah, this bliggity black y'all get on here and preach about, oh, the YNs and all this Deontay Cobb bull that y'all sit here and hug and preach. That ain't trying to hit it because it all circled back around to Pookie and Ray Ray and Bonquisha sympathizers.
And this made me think about something else that's going on with Africa. As you know, we've been having this issue with certain scammers and scammers being protected, like Dr. Ericana. And yes, I will call Dr. Ericana an alleged scammer because that is what I think she's doing right now. And in the black community, you get a lot of people who protect gang members, who protect thugs, who defend all kind of debauchery. And the same thing happens here in the diaspora communities, especially people who protect scammers, like allegedly Dr. Ericana, allegedly Dr. Umar Johnson. And so it came to me, I had an epiphany. We just don't have Pookies in America. We also have Pan-African Pookies. Now, this lady who told her own story about what happened to her was not trying to make anybody upset. She was just speaking about her experience. But again, she was attacked. And some people came and started calling her out her name. And I thought that was unfortunate. But really, it's a part of a subculture in the black community. And this subculture is my first point. Blaming the victim. You see, in the black community, in black America, we love to blame the victim. That's why when somebody is hurt or somebody is robbed, we say, well, listen, stop snitching. If you're going to get your get back on, you should go ahead on and risk a criminal record yourself by seeking retribution. You shouldn't go through the proper channels of handling this person that mishandled you. But it just doesn't happen in black America. It also happens in the Pan-African community. When somebody is scammed and you have an alleged perpetrator like Dr. Ericana, you will hear all kinds of excuses from the Pan-African Pookies. The Pan-African Pookies will say things like, oh, we all a black family. We should bring this to the public. What we should do is keep this behind closed doors. Or they'll say, you're an agent. You're an FBI. Who sent you? All of these excuses are strawman arguments because the Pan-African Pookie wants you to deviate from the fact that the victim has been harmed. And somehow, if you seek retribution against perpetrators, then you're not black. And that goes to my second point, dusty group mindsets, okay? A dusty-ass group mindset is what hurts Pan-African Pookies. If you notice, many of the same people that come to Africa from black America come from liberal left-leaning cities, all right? And this is important. And most people from liberal left-leaning cities, be it Washington, D.C., Baltimore, New York, Chicago, a lot of these places have no accountability within these cities and they run rampant. He ain't lying. They're hella dangerous. So these are the same people who come to Accra, who come to Nairobi, who come to any other place on the continent, and they don't stop with that group identity thing. So instead of calling out people in black America for shooting up the community and selling drugs, well, they'll come here and they'll start protecting scammers, all right? Or anybody who's harmed, because that's just how they are.
Man, listen. He's saying that the black Americans that come over to Africa, that they're coming from liberal cities. DC was once known as Chocolate City. So the actual Pan-African community movement started in cities like DC, like Detroit, like those places. So I don't understand what he means. So he's what is he saying, bro? That's where the whole, like, I lived in DC back when Pan-African, like the whole, like, the Conqueron dance crew when they were like doing the African dance. Like these are the places that like fostered that community. So now that people are trying to say that these communities, like, what are you trying to say, sir? Just because they have crime does not mean that they were not one of the like first people to bridge the gap in the diaspora. I don't understand. Like I don't know. He is around my age, or like I don't know. So why would he? What is he saying, bro? Oh, it's mostly the liberal. Sir, you're liberal. You're in Uganda. Liberal versus conservative. Now you're trying to jump on the conservative argument. Who paid you, sir? You're trying to jump into the conservative versus liberal argument? Come on now, bro.
Community and selling drugs, well, they'll come here and they'll start protecting scammers, all right? Or anybody who's harmed, because that's just how they are wired. Protecting buffoonery, protecting asshattery is a group identity mindset. And in Black America, you have to support pookies, okay? Even if you're a successful Black in America, you have to somehow have success guilt. You have to feel sorry for the fact that you went to college, or you have to feel sorry that you're an upstanding member of Black America and you're doing, things the right way. Well, this is no different in the pro-Black repack community, aka the Pan-African Pookies, because
right. So he wants to call people the Pookies because people are like, oh, you guys are liberal. Now he's jumping on the liberal and conservative bandwagon. That's crazy. But you're in Uganda. You have what FBA, the thing would say, you fled, right? They say that people fled over here. Well, you fled over there. So you fled, but you want to call people liberals and this, that, the whatever. Come on now, bro. Really? And I explained earlier in my other live yesterday that, listen, I don't believe that Black people are liberal or conservative. We're somewhere down the center. And a lot of these people will come into our churches and try to get you to vote for them, Democrat, Republican, or otherwise. Because we don't listen, we go with whatever the thing is, whatever it makes sense to us. So I don't really get this whole thing where we want to like just choose these sides, gang this side, gang that side. We need to cut that out, bro.
here, the group mentality is that if you somehow call out people who perpetuate frauds, then you're not Black. You're an agent. You're agent of white supremacy. And see, what happens is these same people who come from these liberal left-leaning cities, democratic cities, they tore up all of their own stuff in Black America. Now they take their stuff to Accra, Ghana, and they take their stuff to all these other cities and just repeat the process all over again, dusting it up, except this time, the Pan-African Pookies don't have on Jordans. They switched them out for leather sandals, libations, peace-piecing, family up, and talking about the Most High.
Amen.
That's what they do now, instead of being out there in Black America smoking blunts. 3, the traitor to your race theory. The Pan-African Pookie wants you to think a certain way, and he will do so by shaming you, he or she. It doesn't matter if you write, if you have evidence that you have been harmed. It doesn't matter, because somehow if you're going to tell the truth, you need to be punished. And it's not just Black Americans who do this. You see Africans do this too. Africans also delve or dive into Pan-African Pookieism, okay? And just like how we protect our criminals in America, Africans protect their criminals too in the same right. So I guess it is Pan-Africanism after all.
He's right, you know.
And again, you're a traitor to your race if you want to do things the right way. You see, let me say this here, especially in Africa. In Africa, if you are dealing with somebody who is harmful, you're supposed to just leave it. They say that a lot here in Uganda. Just leave it. Okay, but somehow if you go through the proper channels of communication, let's say, for example, you go to an international whistleblower, you go and make a video about it on YouTube, you expose that person loses their job, or in Africa, they call it getting sacked, then now you're a traitor to your race. You're against Pan-Africanism. You're hurting another brother. Why would you do that? Now you're playing dirty. And the traitor to your race theory is flawed because it simply doesn't hold the perpetrator at fault at all, because the perpetrator is supposed to run free, doing everything they want, running around Africa with sandals on, stealing phones, stealing money, selling fake land deals. But by any means that you go around and you punish that person, you expose that person has to be punished. Somehow you're a traitor to your race because you're not supposed to do that. 4, a continuous doctrine of victimization. In the West, we talk about the systems of white supremacy, and these systems are definitely real. Don't get me wrong. White supremacy cannot be denied. Black people in America are victims of it, but you can't really say white supremacy in Africa because it doesn't fit the narrative. So the Pan-African Pookie will take off his Jordans and put on his sandals, and once he comes to Africa, he will talk about the victims of colonization, brother. Yeah, because now we're talking about colonization. But both of those things are doctrines of victimization. So when anything...
Are they doctrines of victimization, or is this what really happened? Did colonization happen in Africa or not? I don't. So now he's sounding like he's a conservative Pan-Africanist, or I don't even know what to call him. So he's saying that, oh, okay, talking about colonization in Africa is now victimizing yourself. What are we doing here?
Doesn't go right, anything doesn't happen right, then you can easily blame colonialism. You can easily blame the West. You can blame the white man, when in fact, sometimes the white man is not at fault. For example, I've mentioned this in Black America. Every parent teaches their kid in Black America right from wrong. I grew up in Watts, I grew up in Compton, in Sacramento, and I grew up in a church family, a Baptist family, and we were taught, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, okay? The same thing that is taught here in Africa. People are either Muslim or Christian, and African children are taught the same things that we are taught in Black America, okay? And you are always taught from your parents that despite your circumstances, you can achieve. Now, again, white supremacy does make it difficult for you to achieve certain things coming from underprivileged areas, but you don't have to be a victim and start doing things that don't make sense, like lying, like cheating, like stealing. Those things are punished heavily by the community. And we know that it's punished because in Africa, there is mob justice, which means that just because you're poor, just because you don't have anything, it doesn't give you the right to steal. And Africans believe it themselves, that you can overcome lying and stealing because they punish it by mob justice, which means a big ass whooping, okay? However, any failure of Africa, our African leadership, our Black community leadership, is not typically brought upon the leaders themselves, no matter how much they steal, but it is blamed on something which is like white supremacy, okay? It is blamed on the West, right? And don't get me wrong, those people are implicated too, but the problem is the leaders are not implicated for what they do. And that drives into my larger point. No accountability. Pan-African Pookies do not like accountability. They didn't like accountability in Washington, D.C. They didn't like accountability in Philadelphia. They didn't like accountability in Baltimore, Maryland. They didn't like accountability in Chicago. They didn't like accountability nowhere in Black America. So coming back to Africa is actually good for them because they can really not have accountability. Because in most countries in Africa, there are not a whole bunch of structures that keep you safe or basically enforce the law. That's why you can T3 and flee it up and come from Nashville and come to Tanzania and be in a damn forest out there with a damn road mic out here overcharging people for cash apps and consultations and talking about, I'm gonna build you a mud house in the village. Just send me the money over cash app. Just lying, just cheating, just scamming it up. Because why? Accountability can't be forced. This is why people come to Africa. When they run their little dusty ass land scams and everything else, they can just say, well, you hating on me. You hating on my business and what I'm trying to build. How you building something on cash app? You sound stupid. Stupid. Any of you dudes out here building a business in Africa and it requires somebody to send you money over Cash App, you don't have a business. What you have is a pro-Black scam, but you don't want to be accountable for your dusty ass behavior. I don't care how many sandals you wear in the rainforest. I don't care how many pieces and families in the most high ups you guys do. It's a scam. If you come into Africa and you're either consulting people, selling dusty ass courses, or receiving money on Cash App from the diaspora, you don't have a real business in Africa. What you have is a damn scam. And so you're doing it because can't nobody enforce accountability on you, or can't put their hands on you, or can't take you to an American court. And that's why you thrive in dustyism and weave and sandalism all the way in Africa. 6, promoting dysfunctional culture ideologies. See, most people have dysfunctional culture theories in the Pan-African community. For example, those people who support Dr. Ericana. Now, these people know Dr. Ericana has a history of allegedly stealing and scamming, all right? And the people in this particular context are so silly, they forgot that the people who are blaming the ADDI are Dr. Ericana supporters, are now former Dr. Ericana supporters themselves. But they feel like you can build something up by standing next to liars. But look at some of these other countries and how they developed. Other countries develop by punishing liars. Now, we've already seen Dr. Ericana's history. Just go Google it and see why the African Union got rid of her in the first place. And so now you're saying, well, the African Union ain't real. They scammers themselves. Okay, so then let's trust the person who got fired from the African Union. I can understand if you don't trust the African Union, but then to trust the person who got fired from the African Union, and then 6 years or 5 years later, that person has the same problem with the same people who used to support her, means that it's not the African Union's problem. It's a Dr. Ericana problem. But if you look at any other community that is developing around the world, even in Africa, those communities are built on transparency. Those rules are built on clarity and on fairness. Pan-African Pookies don't create systems of clarity, of transparency, and fairness. Pookie Pan-Africanists, whether they Black Americans are in the diaspora or in Africa, they thrive on systems of dustiness, fogginess, unclear, passive-aggressive, blaming somebody else. That's why when Dr. Ericana called me out and Go Back to Africa out, and she was dropping so-called receipts, she didn't drop any receipts. And that's what Pan-African Pookies do. They thrive on systems in which they can't be exposed. But the only way to make Pan-African Pookies play fair is to expose them. I forced Dr. Ericana into a public battle by having to respond to me simply because I kept making videos about her and making her tell on herself. That means that Dr. Ericana will think twice before trying to do a ADDI, alleged Pan-African scam again. This is the only way to defeat gatekeepers in Africa. It's the
For those that are not sure, what we're talking about is we are discussing Pan-Africanism. So he's talking about Africana, whatever her thing is. I'm not really worried about the ADDI. I'm more focused about like the other Black people that have come over to Africa, and he's calling them scam artists. And so we're going to like go into what he says, and then I'm going to show the interview I did with T3ME because he wants to bring them up too and say they're scam artists. And I don't think it's right. You know, so this is the whole thing. Pan-African Pookies. And then the FBAs, we're going to like go into the whole FBA situation. And I'm going to play a video, and I want to show you how people are misinterpreting. Well, they are taking FBA and they're putting their own spin on it. And it's not, I don't think that this is what Tariq Nasheed wanted, you know? So I want to show that sometimes like Pan-Africanism, FBA, people start movements. And what happens is that like other people interpret that movement and they do what they will with it. Once you like let that thing go, it's up for interpretation by anybody, and they are going to throw their own spin on it based on what you initially say, and it might not be the exact thing as how it started with. So Pan-Africanism is not even the same thing as it initially began to be. So now you have this whole thing where you have infighting amongst the African Americans that have went over to Africa. And they're beginning to judge each other based on how they're doing. He said something about like if you're getting cash apps and this, that, the other, you're a scammer. Well, you know, if you have a business cash app and people are donating to your cause, that's not scamming. Here's the thing. He's saying if you're selling courses, listen, people sell courses all the time. People could be like, oh yeah, you know what? People could like begin a YouTube stream and become a relationship advisor overnight. Kevin Samuels did it. Like, I mean, people would pay to get like a consultation with him. So why is it that when people went over to Africa and they can like tell you what's going on, that what they're doing is a scam? But then there's other people that oh, okay, I'm now a relationship counselor and ain't been married once in their life period. But then they're now you're like talking to them about relationships. You're paying them. People are like listening to them on YouTube and then in the Cash App, hitting them up. Then do a 50-minute like conversation with them about relationships. And this person ain't married, ain't been married, nothing. But then these people go to Africa and want to say, okay, well, this is how I did it. But then their situation, they're scamming. So is all this stuff scamming? Why is one thing scamming and the other one isn't? That's the question I want to ask. And why are we in the diaspora just airing all this stuff out in front of everybody? Listen, Oshay Jackson, if he really wanted to speak to some of the people, could have talked to them directly and had that conversation. Why is it the thing where you put it online and try to humiliate everybody and then like also use talking points that sound Republican and conservative versus liberal? Like he sat there. Why would he start his whole thing off with a person talking about how Donald Trump came into the community and she's happy about that? So he's trying to align himself with the Republican Party and the whole conservatism. At the same point, talk bad about Pan-Africanism. That's the problem I'm having with this whole thing. It's like, bro, you're not even in a. You have divested. You fled. So now you want to be able to talk about the issues in America, and then also you fled though. But you fled, right? According to FBA, when they flee their country, we say, well, you fled, right? You fled. So which part of fleeing is different? You flee from over here or flee from over there? Is there a difference between fleeing one side or the other? That's the problem I'm having. Let's go.
Only way to beat them. Otherwise, you cannot. If we look at any other places that are developing around the world, let's look at the UAE, and let's look at certain places in Europe, even places in Africa, Rwanda. I'm not saying these people are not perfect, but they thrive on systems of transparency. But Pan-Africanists never support anybody who is transparent. Look at Dr. Umar Johnson. He still is getting booked till this day, all on the Breakfast Club. Dr. Ericana will still be getting booked to this day because Pan-African Pookies don't want transparency, because when you deal with them, they don't want transparency. So they can't call out transparency because they themselves thrive in systems of debauchery and fogginess. So they can't call out what they themselves want to benefit from.
He's right, you know.
You see, it's just not liberal policies and self-defeated mentalities that destroys Black America in America. This same mentality destroys Africa in Africa. And the people from the diaspora that support this foolishness bring it over here to the continent, where there's already a situation where people defend criminals and defend scammers. I mean, it's just like it.
See, here's the thing. What I think is that he just don't want niggas to come over to Africa where he at. He's trying to cut down people coming over to Africa. And I'm like, well, who paid you though? You understand? You in Uganda, like, who cares? If, like, why? This is the thing that, and the music. This is what's happening over here. They're coming over here. Blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, you're in Uganda. Like, okay, if they come over to other countries, is that really bothering you, sir? Africa's a continent. If people go into whatever country, they're gonna fuck around and find out. Why is it that you feel like you need to be the police of all the whole situation of people coming over to Africa and cuss everybody out according if they ain't doing it how you think it should be done? Let's go.
Is in the Black American community. And the reality is you get an underdeveloped Black America, and then you have those same people with those mentalities coming over to Africa, underdeveloping Africa, when Africa's already underdeveloped. There is no accountability in growth with Pan-African Pookie mentality. It doesn't work. Now, I will not say that everybody in the Pan-African community has this Pan-African Pookieism or Pookieology. It's simply not true, but it is a growing thing, okay? You do have Pan-African Pookies, and typically they're the loudest. They run the biggest scams. They may have doctor in front of their name, like Dr. Umar Johnson or Dr. Ericana, but it does not disqualify them from being a Pan-African Pookie. And defending fuckery, defending bull, defending all of these things hurts Africa. It hurts Black people, especially in Black America, and then it hurts Africa. You cannot be a developing continent supporting buffoonery, especially supporting stupidity. It does not work. Pan-African Pookieism must stop. It must die an instantaneous death, or else face the consequences, generational consequences for this continent in the Black world. But guys, it's your boy Oshay Duke Jackson here on Kanganda. I'm out.
Now, see, this is the issue I have with what he's saying right here. Okay. Now, I want you to hear the interview I did with T3andMe. Now, he calls them Pan-African Pookies. So let's go into the interview I did with T3andMe, because this is one of the people he's attacking, calling them Pookies. Let's go into it. The African diaspora, traveling, a lot of like Black people since Trump has been brought on have decided to leave the country. And, you know, and some of it was happening before that. And you had a lot of different people in the diaspora that, you know, left the country. They moved to different places within Africa. And they've been doing this over time, you know, and then you had different African countries that were offering passports and citizenship and all these different things. And you had certain people that went over there and they kind of took their chances and they left the countries and they went to Africa. And so, most recently, there's been a scandal going on with a lady from the ADDI, African Development Corporation, or whatever, ADDI, who basically was kind of promising people thousands of people citizenship to Africa, and through Tortori and into Burkina Faso. And so what ended up happening is that these people, you know, they paid a certain amount of money to join the ADDI. I think it was like $368. And then there was an additional fee to, like, I guess they were going to have like a going over there, possibly getting land and all type of different things. And what ended up happening is that, at some point, due to political upheaval and things that are going on over there, Traore decided that he was not going to let he was not going to allow African Americans to get citizenship over there. Now, I'm still not sure what the full story is. I did have T3andMe here, but I'm not sure. I think they might be having some. Here they come. Here they go. I did have them here, and we want to get into, like, is it feasible to come over to Africa with the current state, that we're in? So without further ado, let's bring on T3. That's understood. Please understand, guys, that we are dealing with there's probably, I'm not sure if you guys are using the card to get on the internet or what, but I know sometimes it can be quite choppy. So I think there's like a card you have to buy to get a certain amount of like megabytes or whatever. So sometimes the internet connection can be choppy. Trust me, I have a lot of friends in Tanzania. So I wanted to like get an idea, like, how hard was it for you? What was the thing that made you guys move to Tanzania? Let's get into that.
Mm-hmm. Well, first, we came over here 5 years ago, and what really prompted us was the George Floyd situation. When we had George Floyd and see that, we decided that, it's time to roll. Because at the time, our son, he was probably 9 to 10 months, so he was kind of young, and we were trying to figure out, where could we be comfortable as a family and how we could get acclimated to the society. And we were in the process of finding a home over in Nashville. Our lease was about to be up, so we went house hunting in a few places, maybe one day, and feel comfortable in any of those places. We was like, okay, wherever we go, we're gonna have to tuck our black in. So let's pray about it and see where we should go. And we sat down and we prayed about it, and we just patiently waited. I think a day later, my wife ended up having a dream that we were over here in Africa helping people come back. So when she told me about the dream that she had, I was like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. That's what we need to do. We thought about doing it at retirement. We thought, a little bit later in life, we'll be able to come to Africa. But when she had the dream, and due to the circumstances of the climate and the environment that we were in, we knew that it was time for us to come on over here now.
Yeah, and also during this time, I don't know if you guys are familiar with President Magufuli. He was the president of Tanzania during the time of like the pandemic and everything. And he was a real revolutionary leader. I would say he was like the precursor to Captain Ibrahim Traore. He wasn't as militant as he was, but he was a Pan-Africanist, and he embodied the ideals of Pan-Africanism. And so he was like a bastion of freedom during the time when the whole world was shut down. He had his country open, and he was basically fighting against the narrative that they were pushing. He actually went and did some COVID tests on a goat, a mango, and another piece of fruit. I can't remember. And those tests came back, a papaya. Yeah. Those tests came back positive for COVID. And so from there, it was kind of like a hoax or like a gimmick to push the whatever agenda that they were pushing at that time, because he was actually a scientist as well. So decided to come to Tanzania because we really resonated with what that president was saying at that time. He since passed away a couple of years ago, but Tanzania was started on the principles of Pan-Africanism. The first president of Tanzania was a Pan-Africanist, President Julius Nyerere.
Okay, all right. And so would you guys consider yourself to be Pan-Africanist?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And do you think, because I mean, ever since what about this FBA? Do you also consider yourself also to be FBA? And can a person be FBA and Pan-Africanist at the same time?
Yes and no. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
Explain.
A lot of people, I'm sorry?
Explain.
So, many people that claim FBA, they tend to want to claim it and, bash our origins from the continent of Africa. So we feel like our people started from Africa first. Like we migrated over to the Americas first. So it's both. We feel like we come from both sides. So we don't have to bash either side. A lot of FBAs feel like they have to bash people that feel like we're from Africa. I don't know why. I think it's what's the word? It's a coping mechanism, I guess. And
I think that they're scared that their paradigm is falling apart in America. And so they're trying to prevent people from leaving. A lot of people are also just mentally colonized from just feeling like America. Let's face it, like even as Black Americans, we feel like we're superior, like we're on top, because we're from America, we're from a first world country, we have all these skill sets, we have this money. So a lot of people don't want to drop that or let go of it to come to a so-called third world developing nation. But I always say two things can be true at the same time. Like, yes, we were the first Black people on the continent of America. But at the same time, that doesn't negate the fact that civilization began in Africa. That's scientifically proven. I don't know how people can say like the transatlantic slave trade never happened and we're not Africans. It's just crazy. Like they're literally trying to rewrite history. Doesn't make any sense to me.
So you know what? You being in Tanzania while all this is going on, what is it like to hear about the things going on in America? I mean, from Africa, because I know I've noticed that there's a lot more African content creators covering what's happening in America, and it seems like a lot of Africans are very aware they seem to be really invested in what is happening with Blacks in America. But at the same point, us on this side, we're being told they don't like you, they don't care if they don't. But I'm seeing a lot of content on YouTube covering Blacks and how things are happening to us in America.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's one of the biggest things that we learned when we first came is we were lied to about how our brothers and sisters feel about us. Like they literally love us. They look like they're big brothers and big sisters and big cousins. Like they admire what we were going through, how we overcame a lot in America. And a lot of them don't even understand the fullness of what we're really dealing with. So when we come over here and we talk to them, they're very welcoming. They're like, oh, my brother's home, my sister's home, like welcome home.
Welcome to Africa.
Yeah. As soon as they find out you're from America, they're ready to welcome you with open arms. So it's not, I'm not gonna lie and say you don't meet, people that's trying to take advantage of you too. There are people as well that say, oh, my brother coming from America, I can get some money. Some people do move like that as well. But for the overwhelming majority, they love us and they're welcoming us and ready to try and work with us and see how we can do something together.
Yeah, we're like I would say like, if I had to like parallel it to a relationship, we're like the big brothers of Africa. Like when they see us, they see like their long lost brother. They see somebody that they look up to because they watch the media, they watch the TV shows, they watch us be at the forefront of cultural movements, of TV, of movies, of glamour and all this stuff. So they really look up to us. But like you said, at the same notion, there are some who may feel envious or jealous of that. But for the most part, I would say like 70 to 80% of the people that I meet on the continent are very welcoming and happy to have us here.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a myth. So even so do you think that this whole FBA movement with Tariq Nasheed is also beginning to get over there? And do you think that the Africans that are over there are beginning to feel like we feel this, all Blacks are feeling like the same sentiment as the FBA and beginning to then like start to like have some feelings towards us about that? Or do you think that people are still kind of like, I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware of that whole FBA thing that happens with Tariq Nasheed and how there's like kind of like this tether thing that people are called. And are you aware of that part?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I don't really know too much about him, but I've heard his name being thrown around the space. But I would say, like, as far as I have heard that whole FBA argument, I've seen that they wanted to boycott African shops like a couple of weeks ago. And I've seen their comments. They comment on our videos all the time, like, you guys are American Indians, y'all are cowards for leaving. Africa's not our land. They don't even want us over there. And all this stuff that's going on YouTube with the back and forth and people calling people scammers and stuff, they are so happy about that. They're celebrating it. Like, oh, see, I told y'all we shouldn't be going to Africa. Look at them, like, so it's like they're feeding off of this. Like it's like a bloodthirst for a lot of them. I'm not gonna
I think that is crazy for this, after all this time that people have fought to try to unify us. Now there's like this in one foul swoop. Now things are just beginning to just dismantle, and I feel like it's like a movement to make us not unified. Why do you think they want us not to? Because I remember before there was like the same rhetoric not to go over to Africa. It was a third world country. It's a mess. Don't go over there. It seems like we're getting back to that kind of rhetoric of, oh, don't go over there. They're over there. They got flies on them, and they're everybody's in poverty, and they're living in mud huts. And at first that was the thing. Now it's they don't like you. Don't go over there. Blah blah blah. Why do you think they're purposely trying to keep Africans in America? Because they know that there's a bigger chance of us starting to leave America and wanting to go over to Africa?
Yeah. I'll touch on it and I will let you. Yeah, because it's like they continue to push the buck. Like when they say one thing and you prove them wrong, they take that, they twist it, and they turn it into something else. And then once you prove that wrong, or prove them to be false, or prove that narrative to be a lie, they go with something else. So it's like a never-ending, always continuously chasing the narrative, and it's by design. We actually talked about the national.
I'm sorry, my daughter doesn't care that I'm live. She's mad because whatever I'm working, she don't care what I'm doing. It's whatever she's got going on. I don't know why she's 7. Say hello to everybody, child. Here, say hi. Because you're gonna just interrupt the whole show.
Hi.
Say hi. I don't know where this music's coming from. Just cut the whole phone off and restart it. I don't know. Yeah, restart the phone and okay, thank you. She don't care. I don't care what show she's like. What? Who cares what show you got going on? The phone is playing and I'm crying. So, anyways, so go ahead. So what were y'all saying? I'm sorry. Where were we at?
We were talking about the national security memorandum that was issued by the White House, the CIA, and different governmental agencies from the 70s, from 19. And in it, the subject of this particular memorandum in Africa. And basically, they deem that our unity, so Pan-Africanism, is a national security threat. It's a threat to U.S. interests. And so their recommendations to stop us from uniting was to sow distrust within different Black movements and organizations between the members and their leaders by labeling the leaders as frauds, as scammers, and just generally sowing distrust, and also making us all look crazy on the world stage so that people say, like, don't even want to have anything to do with it. And so you can find this on the White House.
There's an actual
and so
CIA.
this is a carefully orchestrated plan, and what you're seeing now is just it happening in real time.
That is crazy. I had no idea that they had that there's an actual CIA movement.
Yes.
It's
That is
documented,
crazy.
well documented. So this is like
Wow.
We can send it to you as well. So you.
Yeah.
So what
send
we're dealing with is a coordinated effort. My wife and I, we took it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, send it to me. I said, send me the document because I never knew this existed. I know it was something because I said it seemed like it's the
at first,
that like
you know,
even Tariq Nasheed is like seeming like he is working for like getting paid by someone because it's too much of an effort to like to call people tethers and to separate the Caribbean from the and my thing is that we're more powerful together by us coming together than we can't fight everybody. You know what I'm saying? If we make the Caribbeans hate us, we make the Africans hate us, we make the Chinese, the Spanish, everybody hates us. We call them tethers. Then we just got ourselves and we really ain't got no unity anyway. So why would we create a situation where we make everybody our enemy? Oh, Shay, if that's really you, I mean, I just dropped the link and I really want to understand, like, because I'm a Pan-Africanist. And I don't think that I'm going to stop it. So, but here, hold on. Let me just say this, okay? All right. So with T3andMe, you have like so much disdain. Could you please? I want to talk to you. I want to ask you a question. Do you see this link right here? Do you see this right here? Because I want to really want to get down to this. I feel like that why are Africans in the diaspora fighting against each other when they should be working together? I mean, I know Hebrew Israelites in the diaspora. I know like people like them, and I'm trying to understand. Now I get like the ADDI, that whole thing, but from what I understood, that she made it right. She actually was giving people back their money. And actually, this actual interview I did gets and it ends like this. It ends with where they discuss that she did give them back their money, and that she did make a statement about this, and that there was a lot of like misunderstandings. But or maybe you know what? If you can't come up right now, I would love for you to hit me up on my IG, and we can like have a separate conversation apart from this. And you can like come up there too. I mean, I'm open to the conversation, but me being a person that came up with like Sarah Sutton-Seti, Sa Netter, being a person that's a part of that whole like movement. Like I'm trying to understand, and also like Dr. Ben and things like this. To that where did the Pan-African movement go wrong at? If you could tell me where did that go wrong? Is there something else going on other than I don't know about? Because I don't really see why are we not having unity? Let's go.
Because somebody's getting paid for it, somebody's benefiting from it, and they need us separated to continue to keep getting money from us. They want us in their system, continuing to work, continuing to feed the entire system. So they need us separated.
Right, but there's people that are trying to move over there. So if they see discord amongst people like you and people like them, then okay, what are we doing here? And then from what they say toward the end of the interview, because like this, I'm just replaying an interview I already did. If you go on my page, I'll show you exactly where it is. You can see the whole video. What they said is that they tried to have a discussion with you, and you just didn't want to talk to them or nothing. Like he said he saw that you were like talking about them, and then you were like, no, I know, da da da, and you just did not want to like have no discussion with them whatsoever. And from what I understand is that they said they won the case against the person that was saying certain stuff. I don't know. You know what I'm saying, Oshay? I'm just going off of conflict is okay. And they must be dealt with. Okay. Wow. Well, listen, I'm gonna put my IG in the chat. I would love, and I think I've already contacted you because I was really trying to get both sides of the story. When this whole thing was going on. That's my IG. I would love to have a conversation with you to hear both sides. I'm not one-sided, but this is their side. So I'm gonna let this play, but this is their side of things. And they're like that you were just kind of attacking them. And they're like, well, we really are trying to do the best we can. They got screwed over by people. They're gonna break down where people they came over there with their eyes rosy, just like anybody else, and got fucked over. So, at what point do we just take the salt and pour it more deeper in the wound? Because they already seem like they're exhausted by the situation. So let's go.
It's my wife and I. We took it lightly when we started. We was very naive. We were very we didn't think what we were doing was that powerful. But after the attacks, after everything we went through, we learned okay, no, we're really a part of this movement. We really in the thick of on the front lines in Africa. Literally, we're on the front lines dealing with agents and evil spirits that's trying to tear this down. So it's real. It's real for us to come back home, but we're up against real entities trying to stop us. And they don't want us to come back because once we do come back, we will be able to heal ourselves and do for ourselves and create our own industry. So they don't really want that.
You know what? When you talk about this,
interest for us to pick ourselves up and figure.
I was actually on my way to move to Tanzania. That's the reason why I'm this is why this affects me, because I'm bro, I was actually considering moving to Tanzania. So that's the part. The Hebrew Israelite camps are the largest scammers in Africa. Didn't they just get over there? I wish you can come up here and talk to me about this. This is the StreamYard. If you can I don't know, when I do this thing this way, people can't they can't click it or whatever. But I mean, if you look at the numbers at the end, okay, you don't want to come up there. All right, that's cool. But okay, you're not coming. Okay, no big deal. All right, so listen, I'm not your enemy, bro. But if you look on my page, you'll see this whole interview is called it was under T3 and me. You'll see the whole interview and you'll get to see what they said. And the bottom line is that you're attacking them for no reason, because they really they're going through stuff just like anybody else would. So let's go.
Yeah, and then they'll no longer be able to exploit their resources in Africa, because if we're all together, and y'all already know when Black Americans diasporans come back,
okay, you ain't coming. I get it.
We're not gonna let anybody be stealing our resources, taking advantage of us. So they don't want that. They know if we come back, we're
and I thought, I'm thinking about that because over here we're not forced to be as in touch with the land as we are, and we probably would be in Africa, where we would have to probably be more. Yeah, there's a slight delay, so I'm not sure exactly how to manage the delay. So I'll just make a long pause just in case it's taking a second for it to get to you guys. But what I was saying is that what I've seen even with you guys is that you're working in your land, you're into the herbs and everything like this. And this is something I think is important to be able to bring back to our community by going over to Africa and learning about the certain herbs that are over there and having access to those herbs that can heal us over here and everywhere. The main thing I really wanted to take away from this interview was to talk about the fact that, that a lot of the stuff that you might hear, people going bad on them and calling them and saying that they're doing this, doing that. A lot of stuff, it could be a setup. It could be that these people are really genuine, trying to help people. Sometimes things slip through the cracks. Sometimes it could be tough. So here, let me in the meantime, while we're doing that, let me do this, because it's been kind of hard trying to. I wouldn't live in Africa. I just go there and invest. That we can have I want to go and invest. I don't want to move to Africa. I want to invest in Africa. I'm not sure if I scheduled this at the wrong time because of it might be too many people on here. Okay, guys.
Yes, can you hear us better now?
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Okay.
There was a slight delay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. So did you hear what I was saying about the herbs and how having herbs and stuff like that, being able to be close to the land also allows you to have a better connection to the earth, I believe. Well, let me just do this first because I just want to. I also want to respect the fact that he did donate to the channel. Shouts out. He said, "It's not my fault. These Pan-African pookies scamming, lying, and wearing sandals. You ain't never heard of me scamming in Uganda." Okay, right. So here's the thing: is that they won the case though. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a case. Maybe it's another case I'm not aware of. I'm just giving them a chance to express themselves and explain what happened. So let's go into the herbs. Can you kind of get into that and how your current thing of like, learn? I think your wife's an herbologist, right?
Yeah, herbal practitioner. But I'll start and I'll let her finish.
Okay.
I like to say most times that when we come back to Africa, this is the ultimate healing that we could receive. If we stay over in America, it's like you can take your herbs, you could sort of do things to try and heal, but there's always going to be something that causes a traumatic response. Like you can go to a certain city and see a name of a Confederate soldier that they still have plastered, and that could cause something within us. There's still plantations, there's national parks.
There's still white people walking around,
Right,
a bunch of them.
right. It's still crazy white people that get away with things, so you can't even go in environments and fully be able to heal. When you come here, you're not in that environment anymore. For one, you're not around those same toxic people, so you're really able to really decompress, really heal, and really take advantage of the herbs that's here on the land.
Yeah. And I really feel like we do need to come back and heal because there's a lot of herbs here that, for one, they don't even really let you grow anything in America. A lot of the trees and the plants and everything have been poisoned as well. They're spraying chemicals everywhere. So even if you are growing things, it's not necessarily organic, and you may be poisoning yourself, more so than helping yourself. I'm not going to say there's no pesticide used in Africa, but it's a lot more organic. There's a lot of indigenous trees that are here to heal us. We got moringa, neem, baobab, hibiscus, lemongrass. A lot of these herbs, the populations here, they take it regularly in their diet. So a lot of them are a lot more healthier, especially the people who live in the rural areas. They're a lot more healthier than us. They're outside. They're getting fresh air. They're not sitting in the house all day breathing in the same stale air. There's sun, so you're not going to be vitamin D deficient, which causes a lot of illnesses and especially like immune-related diseases. So there's like so many reasons I can go on and on why we should come back to Africa to heal.
I think that's a great reason why, and I think that also it's interesting that people are blocking that. And it's crazy to me that as much as Tariq Nasheed traveled, he's been to all these countries in Africa. He has a younger audience, and then the rhetoric that's going on with this FBA thing is making people like, I ain't my country, I ain't going to Africa. And I'm like, bro, the person that started FBA has been all throughout and up and through Africa.
And doesn't he make content about? I think I watched like one of his movies before. Didn't he do like a whole series on like Africa or something like that?
I am so confused. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how did you go from homeless to Pan-Africanism is dead? Huh?
Didn't he get he got in trouble with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, didn't he?
I think so. At some point, I think so. Hell,
so
I think
maybe that has a tie into it or something. Maybe he's been incentivized to keep his freedom or something, to sow discord and push the movement apart. Maybe, I don't know.
All I know is it's interesting when she said about the CIA that there's a whole document saying that Pan-Africanism is a threat and it must be dismantled at all costs, and that the people that are at the head of it need to have their things to be look like it's a scam and this, that, the other. And that's exactly what is happening. And then you guys are experiencing it yourself. You guys are being called scam artists and this, that, the other. Do you want to kind of get a little bit into the fact that people are saying these things about you? I know you covered it. Some people might not know, but I know Oshay Duke, when he did his tirade. Go ahead.
I would say, for one, scammers try to hide themselves. Scammers aren't on public platforms showing their lives and showing the ins and outs of things and, trying to help people. Most scammers are in the cut and you won't really see their faces. So we have no reason to scam anyone. We have a tremendous skill set of knowledge. Thanks to the Most High, we've been able to learn a lot of things and been able to figure out how to use our gifts to help a lot of people. So we just, unfortunately, helped the wrong-minded individuals. We were young and naive in what we were doing, and we didn't vet everyone properly. So we allowed, the wrong individuals too close to what we had going on, and they found ways to try to pick things apart and sabotage what we were working on.
All right, so there you have the explanation right there. They're trying to do some stuff. People are sabotaging them, but I don't understand why Oshay is like on some like, no, they were accepted on Cash App. So therefore, look, Cash App has a whole business side. You could actually do a business Cash App. You know, and a lot of people like do business on Cash App in America. I'm not sure, you know, O'Shea, you've been in Uganda for so long. You don't understand that a lot of people be using Cash App for business. Cash App is like the new PayPal. So I don't understand why you are trying to conflate Cash App with scam. People do a lot of like business on these platforms.
And one of the ways to sabotage it was to lie on what we were trying to do. So that's unfortunately what we had to deal with in this season, but it taught us a valuable learning experience, and it just taught us how to help better. Because we're still going to help, we're still going to keep moving forward, but we just have to put certain parameters in place, and we know how to see those who are coming with the wrong spirits now before we get in too deep into certain situations.
Yeah, and I think our people, when things don't go exactly according to plan, when there's like maybe a slight detour or something may take longer than what was expected, our people automatically will label it as a scam instead of understanding that Africa is a continent that's under reconstruction right now. We're at the rebuilding stage. Things are fluid. Things are changing. Policies are changing. Initiatives are changing. Everything is changing, and people aren't understanding that. And so people like some of the YouTubers, they will see these things and they will see it as an opportunity to capitalize off the situation, to make it sound worse than what it is, to do things for clicks and views, to clout chase, to position themselves as the so-called leaders of the space and try to run with certain narratives. But in order for you to label anyone as a scammer or a thief or a fraud, they would have to actually be proven in court to be that thing. And none of that has ever been proven. It's always half-truths, videos clipped together, things taken out of context. It's always like bits and pieces of stuff. It's never like a concrete ruling that said, oh, this person was actually accused of a scam. It's never that, you know? Right. And then come to find out, like if somebody does go to court, they're oftentimes vindicated. They are ruled as not being a scammer, but nobody ever comes back and follows up. You know, people aren't doing real
and corrects it and corrects their error. And so speaking of that, so with that, let's get into this ADDI situation. So now you have a bunch of people, like 1,000 people or more sign up for ADDI. Now, first I want to ask, do you think that in particular was a scam or an oversight? Do you think it was just an oversight?
I don't think it was a scam. I think that from what she said that initially Captain Ibrahim Traore had offered citizenship to the diaspora by presidential decree. So it's going to be his own personal saying, hey, you guys can come get citizenship in my country. However, the parliament, which is, they can override with the president, just like, you know, in America, we have checks and balances. They decided that, hey, you know, for whatever reason, we're not going to offer the citizenship right away. We're going to give them a pathway to citizenship. So we're going to offer permanent residency, which if anybody knows what permanent residency, that's like a stone throw away from citizenship. You basically have like almost all of the things that a citizen can have, which I understand that was a disappointment. I'm not going to take that away from anybody. I understand that people spend their money, but I don't think she intentionally set out to say, hey, I'm going to lie and say that this man offered a citizenship and then, I mean, how would that benefit her? She's someone in the public space, you know.
But she's a doctor, isn't she? Wouldn't that like kind of destroy her practice as a doctor, everything about her, like her whole name?
Exactly.
And then I'm thinking, honestly, they may see everything that's going on. And I mean, why would they open up their doors to a bunch of, I'm gonna call it like this, niggas that's acting like this? Some. Like people are online acting crazy. And some people, they think that they're ready to come to Africa, but coming over here and really being on the ground is completely different from watching a video and hearing someone give you something emotionally empowering. It's different when you get over here on the ground. So I don't think it was a scam, but I don't think everybody should come right now. From what I've experienced from, you know, us helping people, and then when it don't go the way that they wanted to go or thought it would go, it's a scam. Like if they went to Burkina Faso, the state that it's in now, with citizenship, they'll be trying to knock on the door to talk to Ibrahim Traore, to complain about flies or something. So it's some people aren't ready just yet. Yeah. And that's unfortunate, but that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, and it's always people who are trying to sabotage stuff. Like even before this happened, there was a lady, I don't know who she is, but she sent an email to all of us, like all of the leaders, the YouTubers who are like in the, you know, that Pan-African space. She sent a letter to us and tagged Ibrahim Traore, the parliament, all the governmental entities in Burkina Faso, just saying crazy stuff about us getting citizenship. So I'm pretty sure they read that and was like, oh, these are the type of people that are trying to come over here. Like, you know, like this is the backstory that people don't have. So when we come out here,
she tagged Traore in the whole government cabinet,
and us and all of the YouTubers, the big YouTubers who are like doing like content about Africa, tag everybody and CC'd everybody in the email, the parliament, the whoever, all the people from the government, including Ibrahim Shahar. It was crazy. I was like, I can't believe this.
And what did she
It was
say?
a small-
What did she say?
I was gonna say it was a small misunderstanding that she could have talked to ADDI about. Like she could have directly communicated with them and been a little patient, and she probably would have got her answer. But she was demanding a refund, and she was upset about something, so she decided to tag everyone to sort of get her point across.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that has something to do with why they say, hold on, let's vet everybody. Let's see who all these people are, so we make sure that we're not letting in people like that. Because look at their country, look at the state their country's in. They don't need people who are going to be expecting, like first world things in a developing country in a situation that's just getting off the ground. Like they're just offered that citizenship, like which now is permanent residency. And like again, I want to say I'm not going to take away from the fact that people are upset. You have every right to be upset because that was an initial offer, but you can't just try to scapegoat her and say she set out. A scam is when somebody sets out to intentionally deceive someone. I don't believe that she did that. I don't believe that.
And just to touch on what I said again, I don't want people to feel like I'm trying to deter people from coming to Africa or talk down on Burkina Faso. I just know it takes a certain individual with a certain mindset to come over here right now. If you're not ready to build, do not come over here yet.
Don't set yourself up.
Don't set yourself up, because you're going to be messed up and mad in a lot of situations that's underdeveloped, and you will be very frustrated because you want certain amenities and they're not in place yet. If you're not someone who's ready to try and build those amenities out, if you're not someone who see issues and say, okay, how can I fix this? What can I do to make this situation better? Then don't come over here yet, because the continent isn't ready for you yet. The continent is ready for the builders, those who are ready to roll their sleeves up and not complain and get the work done. The people in Burkina Faso right now, the people are helping build the roads. It's not the government. I'm sure there's entities that's getting paid, but I've heard the people are sacrificing their time, effort, and energy and putting bricks down on the road. So if you're not somebody who's ready to do something like that, the continent not ready for you in this season. Maybe later, for definitely later. Now it's time for the pioneers and those who are willing to go through the unfortunate situations, the uncomfortable seasons to develop something. That's who it's time to come right now.
Yeah, and just give it some time. Like, it's permanent residency now. Who knows? Next year, in a couple of months, it can be citizenship. Like, just allow situations to play out. Like, people are so premature. They're so ready to just jump down someone's throat and it's not done right now, right away. It's like, relax, allow the process to happen.
Yeah. With your residency,
You think it's also probably because the leader of ADDI took so long to respond and say, "Hey guys, don't worry. This is it's going to be the Do you think that's also on her part that she that allowed that kind of I guess what's the word, frantic response from everybody because of her delay in response?
I don't want to speculate on when, because I think I listened to her response to everything, and from what she said that she got the information on a Friday and she had called a meeting by like that Sunday or Monday, which was a few days later. So I don't want to say like what the time frame was, because I honestly don't know. I wasn't there, but I'm pretty sure like once she got the information, she had to meet with her team to see how they were going to move forward. You can't just get information and then call a meeting with the whole organization. You have to meet with your inner team to figure out how are we going to do this, like how are we going to move forward. So she couldn't have if she got the information on Friday, she couldn't call a meeting and let everybody know immediately. You have to readjust, figure out what's our next steps, how are we going to move forward and everything like that.
So in Tanzania, I did some research, and I do also want to say is that I think it's also important. It's great to have organizations to go through to get to different countries, but people should also try to visit on their own. Do you think that's an important thing to just visit before you try to do any business in the country? Visit first. I don't understand this thing of just without sight unseen signing up for a organization and have never and you're going to get land and you don't even know what that land is. You don't know what the conditions are around the land. You don't speak the language. I mean, there's so many different reasons why a lot of that stuff probably would have failed anyway.
I would say it depends on the individual, honestly. Yeah. If you are a seasoned investor, if you're someone who understands travel, you've been you've been outside of the country a little bit, not necessarily Africa or even Africa. If you've been outside the country, then it's okay to come over here. I mean, just buy land not without seeing it, but I guess without seeing it, but you would still see it at the same time. So I would say it depends on the individual. If you're someone who's new to this, come here first.
Or that's all your money. You're like penny pinching. Don't do that, because then you're like stressing yourself out, and you're gonna stress out everybody around you. But like if you have enough money, you put aside a couple of $1,000, $1,000, say I want to buy this land. Everybody's situation is different, but don't deceive yourself. I think some people deceive themselves. They talk themselves into saying, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna live out on the land. I'm gonna do off grid," and they don't even know how to do anything off grid. And so when they get there, become disillusioned, disenchanted, and then they're looking for someone to blame because they no longer want to do whatever project that they signed up for.
Yeah.
Honey, wouldn't even know what to do if the electric company cut their electric and gas off. They'd be up there crying. So,
Right.
and you talking about go off
Right.
grid. Man, get out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You never even did camping for a day. Like,
Right.
you wanna go talk
Right.
grid.
Ain't never been
So
camping.
know yourself.
Yeah, know
Yeah.
yourself and take responsibility for your own actions. We're all grown, you know. Like I seen people saying, like, "Oh, why would they send people into a war-torn country?" You don't think? I think people should have sense enough to know that Burkina Faso is fighting terrorists in like the northern part of the country and that they speak French. Like, if people haven't done this basic level of research, then that's crazy. Like, but we got to stop pacifying people. Like, everybody's an adult. No one's forcing anybody to move to Africa or to sign up for these initiatives. People are doing it on their own, and they should go into it with full understanding of what's actually going on the ground and that things are fluid. So things can change at any moment. This is a developing country. I want to keep stressing that. It's not developed like America where things are in place and systems have been put down. And largely that's because of us, the work we've done. So we can do the same way we built up America and made it up to a first world country and modern and all this stuff. We can do the same thing on the continent of Africa.
Yeah.
So you guys are in Tanzania. Do you guys find any I think, is Tanzania a Muslim are they Muslim country?
It's a large population of Muslims, but the mainland is majority Christian, and then the second majority religion is Muslim. However, if you go to the island of Zanzibar, they're a majority Muslim over there. But where we stay at, it's majority Christian. But there's a lot of Muslims who live here as well.
Okay, so you don't. So the rules and everything are like you got to walk around with a burqa on and all this different stuff like that, like a head wrap.
Oh,
and,
no.
If you're Muslim,
Yeah, only the Muslims do that.
So what? And I did also hear that they don't necessarily give you land. You only get like a 99-year. What's it called? A 99-year lease or something like that.
so they give you what they do. They give you derivative rights to the land. So over here, they basically the president owns the land, and you have derivative rights to use it if you pay for it and everything. So basically, it's just like in America. People like to say, "Oh, you don't really own anything," but you don't really own anything in America either. If you don't pay your taxes 1 year, then they come in and take that from you. So here they technically feel like you don't own it anyway. God owns it. So you're just leasing it from God to do what you're supposed to do with it. So that's the perspective that they have when they say foreigners can't own land. Even the locals, quote unquote, don't own land. You leasing it from God to do something with it.
And then you just renew it every 99 years. You can renew the derivative rights to your land. So essentially, you do own it. It's just really like a play on words.
Yeah. So I mean, and if you teach your kids to stay in there to continue to renew the lease, then they should be able to continue to renew, right? Or be grandfathered in or something like that.
Yep.
Are you guys living off of your own land right now, or are you living in like a house somewhere off, that's got just a nice area?
So right now we're living in the house. We're transitioning to our land and everything, but right now we're currently in the house in town.
So do you guys already have the land, but you guys have the house too? So you got the land, but you got to develop it. So you live in the house, you develop the land at the same time?
No, we're not in the house on the land yet.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
We don't live on our land yet. Yeah, we're just still building on our land. Like we have a fence and a borehole out there, but we haven't actually put like a house structure on our property yet.
How difficult is it to work with the local people with actually trying to build it, or do you kind of have to rely on other American expats to help you?
It's not difficult. It's just about having the capital and having someone in between that communicates, that helps you communicate your point clearly. That's the most important part. As long as you have the capital in place and you have someone that's a bridge for you to be able to communicate effectively to get it done, then it's not that hard.
You know what I'm gonna say this? It ain't no different than over here when you want to get something. You ride over to Home Depot and you see all those Mexicans out there, and you got to find the main one that can speak Spanish, and then get them to come and do whatever you need to do.
Exactly. They get their team together. Yeah, exactly.
And I would just say what makes it difficult, and just to give clarity, some people, they come here and they flash all of the money that they have and want to pay the workers everything up front or a large lump sum up front. Now, sometimes it's okay to give a percentage, but most times it's better to just pay per day. Like if you have all your money, just set it out to the side and pay those individuals for the work that they do that day. So that way they will continue to come to work and still put in the maximum amount of effort. Because if you give them a nice lump sum, sometimes they don't complete the jobs and they disappear. That's where the issues come in. And we think that we can just give a nice lump sum and they'll still work. And sometimes they don't do that. So you have to pay them their daily bread respectfully, but try not to do too much. And that way your project will go a lot smoother than if you do it the other way.
Yeah, or pay them in stages. So, like if you're building a house, you just pay them for the foundation first. When they're done with that, now we're going to pay you for, the middle part. And then after that, we're going to pay you for the roof. So you're not just giving people money, because what can happen is if you meet somebody that's unscrupulous, they can take your money and buy materials that aren't of a good quality and pocket the rest of the money. So that's another thing. You want to go and buy your materials, or someone that's trustworthy, have them buy your materials so that you know you're getting quality materials. So there's ways to do it to where you protect yourself and you don't find yourself losing out on money or being taken advantage of.
You know, I also heard that for the most part, when Black Americans go over to Africa, people overcharge them. There's like a whole thing where like they can see you a mile away. You don't necessarily blend in as much as you think you do. And a lot of times you go to the market, you go here, whatever, you go there, and they like, okay, you know, that's gonna be extra, you know, double the price for you, you know. So
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yes, it is true, but it also happens to the local people as well.
Mm-hmm.
If they see that you have a certain status in their mind, then they're going to try to get more out of you. And just because they're doing that, that doesn't mean cry about not coming back to Africa. We are in America getting taken advantage of on a much larger scale.
IRS taxing us as we speak.
Man, much larger scale. So because somebody want to get an extra 50 cents or $1 for some fruit, bro, just if you don't want to pay it, you can negotiate and tell them no. You don't have to cry about it and say, oh, they just want to. It's not about us. It's not just for us. It's for the locals as well. So if you don't want to pay it, just don't pay it. But don't act like that's a reason for you not to come over here because they're going to charge you a little bit extra for some fruit here and there or other things.
At least you can argue with them. You go to Walmart, you can't be like, no, I'm not paying $50 for that apple. That's the price and that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Right.
At least over here, you be like, hey, look, I ain't gonna pay. You just gotta learn how to haggle. No, I ain't. No, what about this? And that's, you know, it teaches you how to kind of go back and forth. And that's what that's what they almost want you to do that. You don't have to take the first price.
If you asking them the price, they already know that you're not a local. So that's another thing. You need to learn the prices of things in your whatever environment you're in. Like in the country, there's like set prices for most things. So if you're asking them what the price is, they're gonna be like, oh, okay. Like, you know, like, so now I don't even ask. I already know the price. I'm just gonna give you the money and walk away, you know, or expect my change, you know. So yeah. You there?
I'm sorry, I got a phone call. Yeah, so another thing is that when you another thing that I heard is that when you actually go over there, it's you have to kind of, when you're doing business, like you don't expect to get a job over there. Like they're not going to hire you to work over there or nothing like that. You're going to have like your own way of making money, whether it be from over here or whatever you're going to do. You better have your own income base. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, we would say, yeah, it's true, but if you have certain certifications, if you have like a high level certification, I think you could potentially get a job. If you know,
create a job.
Yeah, or create one. Yes, you could probably go into like if you're a high paying nurse or something, you have a certain set of degrees, you can go there and market yourself in a way where you can create a job within that hospital.
Or you can transfer your license, especially if you're doing like healthcare, like nursing. Yeah. You can transfer your license over, but you can get a job. You know, technically, you know, I teach at schools locally. I teach like herbal medicine courses. So there's always pathways for you to work here. You know, it's just about being creative and putting yourself out there. He also works for Remax, doing real estate. So that's considered a job, I guess, even though he's like a private, you know, realtor. But there's ways where you can work here. I wouldn't say like you can't just like get like in America, how you can just jump up and get like a retail job or a call center job and it's super easy. I wouldn't say it's not like that here. You know, like you're gonna have to go and search out people, meet different people, see where the opportunities are. They're not as obvious.
So is it like you have to create your own opportunity out there? It's not necessarily like you would find a job. It would be like you create something and then you say, okay, this is what I'm able to do. Is that kind of how the whole society works? Or is it just like for Americans?
Most of the people here work, you know, like they have to hustle for themselves. They're either entrepreneurs or they're selling stuff on the streets. Some people have jobs, but the jobs here don't pay much. So even if you're like a doctor, you're only making like $400 or $500 a month, you know? Whoa. So yeah, a lot of people here, they work, they figure out, they create their own ways, you know, to sustain themselves because there aren't even a lot of job opportunities. A lot of the younger generation, they graduate from college, they're working at the supermarket, just like in America, you know? So it's like, there aren't really a lot of per se jobs, so you have to go and create your own way, even for the locals.
So that's probably what people actually think when they come into America and they see that they have to kind of get it out the mud in Africa, but then over here, everything is kind of already set up. Okay, get a job here, work Wendy's, make a little more, It's like, that's not the setup over there. So it's like, they'll see that, oh man, all this opportunity out here and you guys are not taking advantage of it. And then we go into that and say, all this opportunity over here. And you got, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the actual community. What is the expat community like over there? Do you, like, is it, I mean, are there different groups? Is everybody kind of working together or do you have to kind of be on your own?
Man.
You want the truth?
The whole truth and nothing but the truth. Yes.
I can't speak for every country. I'll just speak for Tanzania. The expat community is a hot mess.
Wow.
In Tanzania. A lot of the people, they just there's a large religious expat in Tanzania. Hebrews or Christians. I hear like an echo.
I just muted my mic. Is it still going on?
Okay. No, it's not. So they have like Sabbath gatherings, and a lot of these Sabbath gatherings they use it as opportunity to just bash other people in the community, talk about people. Yeah, that's what they do. When they get together and have their little groups, they ostracize people, talk about people, slander people. Everybody's like clicked up, it's just a mess. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we behaving like we're in high school? Everything is very cliquish. It's very drama filled. It's very crabs in a barrel mentality. Like, and you would expect the opposite coming to Africa. That's where we were naive at. We were thinking like, oh, we're in Africa, we're all gonna work together. And no, it's the same crabs in a barrel mentality from a lot of the expats here. Not everybody. There's some people who are over here, they're doing good. They've opened up businesses, restaurants.
Oh man, we were on a roll, and then you can start messing with that phone. When you start messing with the phone, child.
Okay, hold on one second.
Let's start messing with the phone and get it out. Would it just die? Hold on, let me see.
Okay, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So, from what I see online, it seems like a lot of the expat communities are like that. And it's really unfortunate because together, a lot of the movements are being sabotaged from within. So what a lot of the so-called leaders of these organizations have done is they've just abandoned some of the projects or just recalibrated it so where it's not so heavily involved with other expats. Like sometimes they have to take their own path more to working with the local or just doing things in such a way where some of the expats heavily involved because of how they're acting and their mindset and mentality.
Yeah. And we're in this situation because of what we've gone through. We've learned that, we don't take it to heart anymore. Though it hurts, it was extremely frustrating because we came over here to try and help and build alongside them. We've learned that because we grew up in that society, it's sort of like the Exodus in the Bible. The first people that came out, they couldn't really get it because they was fighting each other. They was worried about that was really trying to go back begging for food in the captivity that they came from. It was a lot of mess. So we understand that our people have been broken, our people have been lied to, our people have been done wrong. So we've been taught to hate each other, we've been taught to fight each other, and we've been taught to not work together. Fortunately, a lot of the older people that we've come in contact with, they have really been the Kool-Aid of America, and they come here and they turn into the same people that we are trying to get away from and build away from. They feel like because they have their retirement checks or because they have a nice lump sum of money, they are able to come over here and throw their weight away with their money and not be respectful and understand the culture and really listen to the wisdom that's coming from the continent. Though you're older, though you have a nice lump sum of money, because someone has been here longer than you, they have a little bit more wisdom than you. It's not disrespect, it's just the fact of the matter. And some of our people, they'll watch our content for years and get here and want to disrespect us and say, I got it from now, basically. You can get space. You ain't got to, don't try to scam me. Don't take money. No.
Use our contact to contact the people in our network that we connected with. Try to group up, try to overtake. None of it has ever worked. It's just like the same over and over. And it's unfortunate that in Tanzania, I'll just speak for Tanzania as far as this is concerned, but it's like the older people, they are, not all of them, a lot of them, they have this mindset and they're not flexible. They want things like cut and dry, like they don't care. Like if it's not gone exactly the way you said, exactly on the timeline, they're automatically saying, oh, that's a scam, And they get together in groups, they have WhatsApp groups, they have email threads. It's like very childish. It's very childish. Yeah.
So we recommend that people need to, first thing that you need to do when you come to Africa is stay at your house. Stay away from the Americans.
Stay at the house. Say it because you guys are breaking up a little bit. Stay at whose house?
Stay at your own house.
Stay at your own house.
Stay away from the Americans as much as you can.
Wow.
Don't trying to build a community with the Americans because a lot of us are still healing right now. Mm-hmm. Focus on healing your family Focus on staying in your house, and not just in your house. I mean, your family and to yourself. And you will be led to those you're supposed to work with, you're supposed to connect with. Don't go out searching for wolves out. And what's happening is they're being put into situations where they really don't understand what's going on. The wolves are just planting seeds of negativity, seeds of doubt, seeds of fear, seeds of hatred, the gospel. You just being planted all of that because you went around the wrong group of people.
Yeah.
So we recommend stay away, heal your family, heal what your wife got to deal with, heal what your husband got to deal with, heal your family. So that way, when we come together in this rightful season, we won't hurt each other like we did. My wife and I, we went through a lot of pain from trying to help people that's still broken. We were stabbed, not literally, but we were done so wrong for being wide open and trying to help people. That was our only mistake. So we just like to tell people, don't make that mistake and be so gullible and think, oh, they speak English, so let's connect with them. Oh, they say shalom, let's connect with them. No, give yourself time, see what that person is really doing, see what they're truly about before you get involved with them and try and do too much.
Right. Wow. Man, so and I definitely want to bring you back. It's been an hour. I don't like to do too long with my interviews because I like to let the information breathe. I want to definitely bring you guys back to give more information and really talk about some of the things that you guys have going on. The main thing I did want to do is just give an introduction and really dispel this whole Pan-Africanism as a scam thing, really talk about the Ibrahim Traore thing, really get into the whole, because I mean, Oshay Duke, he's been speaking out a lot more. And this is where I'm seeing where you have people over in Africa where they're not unified. And then they get to talk out against each other. And I'm like, well, man, this is tribalism. We're bringing that same behavior over into Africa that we have over here. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand what the purpose is. I mean, if he's over there in Kenya, why is he so focused on you guys in Tanzania? Isn't Kenya and Tanzania two different countries?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is Africa really that connected where people are really like that all up in each other's business? Like the Nigerians is really concerned about Ibrahim Traore and people in Kenya is worried about what's going on in Nigeria because okay, and them, they are already Pan-Africanist, Is it really like that nosy or is what's going on? I don't understand it. Oh, you guys froze again. Here we go. So that's the part that I don't get is that, if you have one group of people that are organizing people and doing things in their place over here in Tanzania, why would another content creator in Kenya then come in and talk bad about them? And I'm not sure if has he even tried to talk to them at all. I wonder if Oshay Duke has ever tried to talk to T3 and me and really get their side of the story, or has he just heard it through the grapevine just like everybody else? You know what I'm saying? So what I was saying is I'm wondering if Oshay Duke, did he ever talk to you or try to talk to you guys about y'all situation? Have you guys ever spoken to each other?
Who is that?
Oshay Duke Jackson?
Who's that?
You've never heard of? Oh, you're being silly.
No, man. I was on the live stream, and someone one of our audience members subscribers told us that what was going on. So it was a wave of people that was on their lives talking about us for like 2 months straight. So we were pulling up like, hey, you talked about us. We're in the comments. Let us on so we can talk. Like we don't mind talking about what's going on because we haven't done anything wrong. So as he was talking, I'm in the comments like, hey, brother, look, you got the wrong information. Listen, just reach out, let's talk so that we can have a conversation so that I can give you everything that's going on so you can hear the truth of the matter, or at least my perspective so you can understand what's really going on. He said, no, I don't want to talk to you. I already know what's going on, and basically went on a rant. So that's when we really knew what was going on and what, Is
this the most recent rant or a rant before this?
No, this was right before he started doing the videos. I reached out like, hey, bro, he was live one day talking about a few other people and my name came up.
Right.
So I jumped in and was like, hey, bro, let's have a conversation so we can get to the bottom of things. And he basically on the live was like, nah, I already know what's going on. I got something for you coming up and just be patient, basically.
Yeah, but it's like,
is it more like be patient? I think I know what's going on a positive note now, or
no? It was basically I'm finna tear you down. Like I got you. Like,
so
what? If we don't stop defending ourselves, he's gonna go in on us. Like we supposed to be scared of him. Like I'm just like, who are you? Like you're not somebody I'm not gonna talk badly about him.
But we need to. That's crazy, y'all. That's not unity. I don't understand. So they want to go against Pan-Africanism, but then they want to sow these seeds of discord, and that's the better way to go about it. What he's doing, that's the way to do it. So bump Pan-Africanism, it's all a scam. But let me get online and let me trash talk the people that are over here trying to do something. Whether now, I would say, hey, maybe sit down and hey, what might be the issue? Let's sort it out. What might have been the problem?
That's
That
what
you
a
guys-
man would do.
That should be a red flag for everybody who's watching that. Like somebody that's not interested in even when you're supposedly like an investigative journalist or you're someone who prides himself on, oh, I'm bringing this information out to you guys so that I can warn you and protect you, and you're not even doing your due diligence to even talk to the other side or even get to full information. You're just receiving emails and clipping together stuff, trying to make stuff fit, giving half truths. Like that should be a red flag for everybody who's watching. Like, what is the incentive for you to do something like that? He claims to be a Christian. Doesn't the Bible say that if you have a problem with your brother to go to him and talk to him? It doesn't say, oh,
It's like he was talking mess about the Hebrew Israelites. He went in on everybody.
Yeah, that should show his character.
And I'm like, okay, everybody's trying to screw each other over. I like the fact that yes, the ADDI situation happened, but you guys tried to come in from a positive thing. Listen, there might have been, so this could have been a situation, it might have was going one way and maybe this and that, the government, blah, 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 blah. Like not necessarily, oh no, it's a scam. Pan-Africanism is BS. We're all trying to get over on each other. I mean, there are situations where people try to get over on each other, but I don't think that a person that's a doctor that's going to spend all this time putting this whole organization together is going to do. And then he brought up another organization that she had and said, well, that was a scam too. But then when you try to sit down and talk to him, it's like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I know what's going on. And then try to then further, maybe that's the thing. Because sometimes on YouTube, beef sells, right? That's how you get your views up. Let's have beef, But the thing is that that's going to turn people away from going to, because I was considering that. But the way that this whole thing and the information has been going out, I was going to come to Tanzania. I got kind of like scared, like, oh my God, like what's going on?
Yeah, and that's the objective. It may not be intentional, it may be, but that's the ultimate objective. He understands that a lot of our people are gullible and they just want to go towards something that's sensational. So that is what sells, and that is the MO of the individual. There's no original content that's being produced. There's nothing of originality. There's nothing creative that's coming from there. It's all responses to other people working, other people doing things.
Celebrity gossip.
Yeah, celebrity gossip. So that's the type of individual that is operating over there, and that is,
chatty patty.
Say that again.
A chatty patty.
Yeah, that's a word too. But as a man, if you deep down, when you're not handling things the way that you're supposed to handle them. You don't have certain things in order. You're still acting in a certain way. So deep down, you really feel like how you are. And I don't have to say it, but how you feel deep within yourself for what you're truly doing. Mm-hmm. So, he's also able to ride off into the sunset without his name being on things because he's using the alias. So there's a lot of different factors that's benefiting this individual from pushing negativity out and going down that path.
Yeah, and then for somebody to live in Africa but say, oh, I don't want you niggas to come to Africa. And it's like, he don't want nobody to come to Uganda. Why is that? Because there's a lot of people who want to come to Uganda and do something to him. So he's like, I see him, he's beefing with people. People be coming on his live stream talking about they going to F him up and all sorts of type of stuff.
What?
So I feel like he's trying to hide off in Uganda and tell other people not to come there so that he can do his dirt in peace and so that people won't, pull up on him or tell him about himself. So he feel like he's safe in Uganda because he's in Africa and nobody really wants to go to Uganda. And he's telling people, oh, don't come. Everybody's scamming. Oh, if he's selling consultations and courses, they scamming. And he's not.
Since when is consultation and courses a scam, man? If you have information,
because Oshay says so, that's why it's a scam.
Man, you know how many people sell courses? If you have any information about something and you can package it up nice enough and someone can learn off it, people are doing that left and right. And you should also start a school community while you're at it too. SKOOL. Start one of those.
I got one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
what's wrong with teaching people what you know?
That's why he's upset, because he see that we have multiple streams of income, and then he's trying to frame it like, oh, they're just making their money off the diaspora, acting like we don't work locally in the community, like I don't teach, like he don't do real estate in the community, like he don't do public speaking. He don't want to talk about the other stuff. He just wants to focus on the fact that we do offer consultations. Why? Because people ask us, hey, do you have a consultation? I want to talk to you personally about what's going on in Africa. Mind you, we have
people in the red pill community and call themselves a relationship expert and charge people $50 to $150 and they ain't got no certifications of shit.
Man,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't get the hell about, I'm sorry, I'm getting pissed off because that's messed up at what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got a child, y'all got children, and y'all are trying to raise y'all kids in the right way, and someone got the nerve to come against y'all, and y'all trying to do the right thing. Yeah, that's BS. Go ahead, y'all. Sorry, I'm getting crunk.
The only other thing I wanted to say is that, he's purposely creating a false narrative. And because he knows that people aren't going to go verify what he's saying, he can run off with it, And, we have 700 plus videos where we're giving people free information, free game on how to get to Africa, how you can get your business license, how you can, how you get your bank account set up, what's your mindset you need to have when you come to Africa. We've done all of this stuff. So, everything is free. But it's like, for those who want to talk to us, Should we sit around and talk to people on the phone all day for free? How can we?
Hell no, you shouldn't.
Exactly. It's just,
Who got the time to do all that? Listen, look, I'm even a priest, right? People expect us, if we gonna do divination, just do it for free. Oh, well, you a priest, you supposed to be doing it for God anyway. Honey, we'll be dead over here. Just keep doing it for free, and just giving and giving and giving and giving. You can't live your life doing that. Who gonna just keep doing that?
Yeah.
Nobody can just keep giving and keep giving. People they'll eat you up, they'll eat you alive. Okay,
Man,
you have to charge. People have to charge for their time.
Yep.
exactly.
And if you guys are powerful and y'all are doing great in what y'all are doing, continue up the good work. Let's list off some of the projects that you guys have going on. So you have your T3andMe. Is your website T3andMe, ANDME?
Yeah, ANDME. Yeah.
T3andme.org.
Yeah.
.org. Okay, and that's you guys' website. I know that you also have you do the herbs and everything like that. Is the best way to reach you to get the herbs and to get all the different things that you guys are doing on the T3andme.org website?
We actually have a separate website for the herbal stuff.
Okay.
So I can send it to you, but it's fordsherbaldoulaservices.com. fordsherbaldoulaservices.com. And I also offer clinical herbal consultations for people who are interested in sitting down and getting information and a plan on what herbs they can use, what lifestyle changes they can make, and dietary changes in order to heal from whatever ailment that they're facing. And I also have an herbal academy where I teach people how to formulate different herbs and how to set up a FBA and GMP compliant herbal business from whatever region they're at in the world. So,
Wow, so why should you give that away for free?
Because Oshay Boo Jackson said so.
And I bet you can't get him to do nothing for free.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
He won't even need nobody to help them if they come to Uganda.
Right. So what are we doing? Okay, you have this couple here that's willing to help out the community, and you got people that want to badmouth them, and they're not even in the same country in Africa. I'm trying to figure out how is one person that's all the way in Uganda talking mess to a person all the way in Tanzania and got so much to say about them. That's crazy to me.
Red flag.
Hello, if y'all people need this, and see, this is why Black people can't get nowhere. That's why we can't get ahead, is because we're too busy pulling each other down. And then when we want to have a word with each other and say, "Listen, brother, you got the wrong information," it's like you want to keep the narrative up so bad that you like, no, I know what's going on. I got all the information, and I got all the detail. Well, you better not say nothing. I'm gonna put it up online and I'm promoting it. This your brother. Oh shit, it's his. Like, come on now, stop it, bro.
Friday, you go.
Man. But it really helped us more than anything. That's the craziest part. Though it hurt.
Hey, it brought more people. Like, who's this T3andMe? Who are they?
Man.
I never
You
heard of
see
them
the
before.
channel is elevating. Like, they're not. That's the crazy part. I'm like, y'all know y'all not stopping it, right? Had people come to us and say, "Hey, I saw this person talking about you on their channel, and I came over there, and I'm so happy they was talking about you because now I'm subscribed and I want to help do X, Y, Z, or I want to inquire about your services." So,
Man, I knew about y'all ever since I saw that baby grab that popsicle so hard. It was tripping.
Yeah.
That baby was hungry. That baby said, "What's that? What?" Man, that baby almost ripped that whole popsicle out. Tried to eat it tried to take the wrapper off. That was funny. That was a funny video, y'all. And see, I said, "What these people look? They kind of conscious though." So I started like looking at y'all, probably like, "Wait, but these people are actually like they're not just regular TikTok, whatever, Instagram, whatever I saw the video on. They're not just and then okay, they went to Africa." So I've been like kind of following y'all as time has gone on, but I didn't really know all the like stories and whatever's going on, and I've been trying to like, and then when I found out that y'all like with the Burkina Faso, that's when I reached out because I said, okay, he knows what's going on about the Burkina Faso thing. I wanted him to talk about that, which I do definitely. Like I said, I definitely want to bring you back to start to talk about the herbs and all the different things. I want to really get into this the herb stuff and have another live where we talk about that. And I want to continue this relationship because I think that it's a great build, going on. That's happening here. I think people need to because a lot of my audience, it's the Sonnetter, all the conscious crowd.
okay, yeah, I used to listen to that back in the day. I like that.
Yeah, so my audience is that audience, and a lot of them, there is a lot of Hebrew Israelites and stuff like that. I used to work with a guy named Mighty Hebrew on this channel. We did a lot of stuff with the people in Dimona, the Hebrew, not the IUIC. So,
Okay.
I did like a lot of stuff with them. But I also within the EFOD community. So people, the Babylao here was putting together people to actually go to Burkina Faso.
Mm.
So I think that when we get a chance, I would like to get into what nations should we go to. I know you guys also have this information on your channel. I might just review one of your videos and just leave it at that. But I definitely want to bring you guys back to talk about herbs, natural living, all those different things as well, because that's really a subject I wanted to get into. But I really wanted to attack this whole attack on Pan-Africanism.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
No
yeah,
problem.
we're on the front line. So y'all just, keep us in y'all prayers and keep supporting, the efforts, share the videos. Like the only way to combat a false narrative is with the truth, So the more we keep having these conversations, and really, bringing to light what's really going on is how we're going to continue to win and to unite with those of us who are of a like mind, because we understand some people, we just got to leave them where they're at. They're not going to get it. They don't want to get it. They're there to do a specific job. So a lot of people, we just have to leave where they're at for now. And hopefully they get it in the future. But for now, we just deal with those of us who understand what's going on.
One quick last question. Relationships in this situation. You go over there with your loved one. Mm-hmm. How hard is it to not to maintain? I mean, can it create any restraint on a marriage when you're going over into a situation like this and trying to maintain in a situation? Does it bring you closer together? Did you find yourselves like ready to quit at some point? Like, how did you guys maintain your relationship up to this point with this move?
Good question.
That's a good question.
How did you get started?
To be honest, like it wasn't always easy, like in relationships in general, in marriages, like you go through ups and downs. Like you have seasons where, like you guys are meshing well, and then you have situations where, especially like with everything that's going on, you have stress involved. You have, like just the stress of everything that's going on. So it can like negatively impact your relationship. So I'm not going to sit up and act like everything always been peaches and cream with us. We have had.
Uh-oh. They freezing out again. We're gonna have to just bring them back to, and we're gonna I definitely want to do a whole relationship discussion with them. Of course, it's kind of getting late at night on their side, so. All right, so that is that discussion. So I want to talk about that, right? Now, now that we've discussed that aspect of things, I really want to get into the FBA, right? The new FBA ideology and how it is kind of like with the younger guys. I don't know. I think that we're going to talk about it more tomorrow, but I wanted to show this video because I felt like, I don't know. I just didn't this didn't sit with me well. It didn't sit with me well. Like how, I mean, I get it. You are not American. So let's get into ICE attacking this guy, arresting him, and then the whole FBA argument against this. This is where it gets really weird. Let's go into it. So let's go into it.
East Side during Operation Midway Blitz, a raid targeting undocumented immigrants amid a vehicle chase involving Venezuelan suspects. King, a Black Chicago resident born on the South Side, was tackled and handcuffed despite shouting his citizenship status and was held for several hours until authorities confirmed his status and released him without charges. DHS claimed King threw an egg at an officer, an allegation disputed by his lawyers, as the incident highlights concerns over wrongful detentions in minority neighborhoods amid intensified migration enforcement. Now, notice how they saying he's black and he's this, right? Pay attention. And there's a video, by the way. Now, before we watch this video, look at the title of the video. It says, or the caption, ICE arrested a Black American teen who was later released in an unrelated video. A woman cursed out ICE agents and they detained her loved one. We tried to tell.
Now he is hyper focused on the fact about the Black American status, right? Now you will hear the guy get on here and say that I was born in America. But here is where the FBA situation gets shaky, right? People want to say, okay, FBA, foundational Black, right? So if a person is born in America and knows nothing but America, are they not Black, or are they not Black Americans, or how does this whole thing work, right? And if they are a person of color that is born in America, do we just like not give a crap about what they have going on? I don't understand the idea. So, but you're gonna hear how aggressive the whole FBA movement with the new generation, how people are interpreting this FBA situation. Let's go.
The FBA brothers, that they were celebrating the deportation of Mesoamerican brothers, that ICE would indeed turn to blacks as well. The FBA needs to take heed of the Israelites. We love you. Also, our Latino brothers. You know what I've never heard from any Latino? Calling black people their black brothers and them being a part of the Hebrew Israelites. And then us being over there in their country. And then giving us leeway to exist and do right in their country. Nah, they over here in America. Anyway, the Israelites are the one group that can help our people out of this nightmare. Put your pride down. All you have to do is repent, accept your true heritage, and most importantly, believe in Christ, and this nightmare will be over with. Christ is coming soon for our salvation. So here we go with these Hebrew Israelites. And all you Hebrew Israelites that's probably in here listening, you can eat it. I don't give a fuck about what the fuck you talking about. So let's watch this video, right? Now notice they're classifying this person as a black American.
But you know what's so crazy is that isn't Jamaica part of like North America? Isn't certain parts of Caribbean part of North America? I don't understand why we get this whole like indignation about this whole FBA thing to where we begin to attack each other. Let's go.
Just watch the video.
So she's saying he's a citizen.
This is the moment federal agents held a 19-year-old man to the ground outside a Chicago convenience store.
I'm telling them I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm here. I'm legal. I'm born here. So they didn't try to hear none of that though.
Jimenez and King say he was taken into custody, but released later that day.
I just graduated high school, so they could come from literally anybody, and that's not right.
Okay. So a precursor to this video, right? So this guy gets tackled down to the ground. He's a citizen. He was born here. His mother's a citizen. She's not illegal. That's why they were not able to tackle her and put her into an ICE camp, right? When she did all this. So they're both American citizens. They might not be FBA, but they're citizens. So let's hear his take, this CEO's take on this situation.
Stupid bitch. That's why y'all a bunch of criminals. I wish you would. I wish the would. Yes, the his family. Y'all a bunch of big bro. Don't tell me calm down. We don't like none of you.
You okay?
No, how can I be okay? You okay? Are you okay?
Are you okay?
I look like I'm okay? Don't come up in my face here because I hit hard. Wrong with y'all?
Try it.
I wish you would.
Try it.
You try me.
Now here's the part. I don't even know if she was able to leave with her son that day. She might have been upset because of whatever court hearing happened to where he probably had a warrant. Who knows what happened? So she's angry. All right, so I who knows? I don't know where this anger was coming from, but it's coming from somewhere, right? So
And see what the happened. We angry. All of us angry out here. So don't think it's y'all alone.
Get out of here.
You who you telling get out of here? Why you telling me get out of here? You asked me a question and I'm answering you.
Get out of here. Man.
Wrong with you? Oh, stupid ass bitch. That's why you gotta hide your face.
You want
You call me my mother, I can tell you anything.
You want to go to
Wrong with you? You want to hit me? Hit me, bitch. You ain't got me. No.
So do you want to go to jail? Now, first of all she's doing is speaking. So you can't go to jail for talking. So I don't even know why he's asking that question. That's another thing. These ICE agents don't even know what the true rights are. They're just out here, just, willy-nilly, untrained, doing wild stuff. And I can even show you later on how they actually bombed themselves with tear gas earlier today or yesterday. They trying to throw the tear gas on everybody else and end up tear gassing their damn self. That type of crazy stuff. So she's upset, and then now we have this guy and this whole FBA ideology. She said she would be considered a tether, right? And now you're gonna see how this new kind of like reverse or internal racism is now happening in this community for people of color. And that's not cool. I don't believe in that. That's crazy. Let's go.
Come. I got rings on, bitch. So yeah, you gonna fight, you bitch. You a bitch. That's why your kids that don't like you and your wife is on you. That's why you gotta hide your face. My face ain't.
I don't know how she knew the wife was effing on him, but honey, either the wife is effing on him, or she just cursed him that would happen. I don't know. There's something wild about what she just said. She said it with all her heart.
Bitch. I'm American, you stupid bitch. Wrong with
No, you're not.
child? You can take me too high. I'm Charlotte the Zodiac first. You know what to do? Tell him. No. You want me? Set the hell off. Nobody want to kill the one. Nobody.
So she said she's American, you stupid bee. And then he replies, no, you're not. So what dictates an American? We have redefined what an American is. So if a person comes in here and gets all her paper right, whatever, blah, blah, takes the oath, so now they're no longer American. Right? If they like give up their sovereignty to another country, whatever, and become over here and say, look, I take my oath. And then you have a child over here. So is your child not American? You're not American. Like, what is this whole? This is where it gets really weird. Now, you're going to see a lot of aggression come from Ant CEO when he discusses this lady. It is a combination of like almost red pill and just like anger against women trying to assert themselves. You'll see.
Help me. Wrong with y'all. All of you. Put that on the news. Let Trump see it.
Bumbleclad, you're going to take my bushmeat and dip me in and you bumbleclad. Bitch, you're not American. You're not American. That's number one.
Okay, you called her a bitch, and then he goes into the bushmeat. Now, who else talks about bushmeat? So what's happening is that you have Tariq saying stuff in a joking manner about people. Okay, and people kind of like know it's like kind of like satire. But what's happening is that they're taking these same points and they're really, it's not a joke anymore. You know what I'm saying? When they say it, it's like, you know, it's kind of mean, you know? Let's go.
Second of all, you a woman. You can't do nothing to nobody. You a woman. Somebody would grab you up and put you up on a wall like it was in a fucking cartoon. Your legs would be shaking and flittering in the air. You're a woman. You can't beat up a man. You're a woman. They will fucking destroy you. You will get squished. You're a woman. You can't fight nobody. Hence, why you have one.
Honey, she said she hit hard. She don't hit hard. She hits hard, honey. So just because she a woman don't mean she don't hit hard, okay? She hit hard.
Man holding you back. If you was just as big and bad and wanted to fight so bad and as strong as you think you are, you wouldn't have to have a man really barely holding you back because he's not doing nothing. You got a purse on. Look at this shit. First of all, your phenotype is not a Black American. That's number one. Your phenotype is not a Black American woman. Clearly, you can tell. Look at this head shape.
Are we really going to do this? See this? Do you see this? Now, this is a Black American guy. I don't even know if he's real. I hope that this thing is really like a AI character saying this. But this guy is then mocking another Black person and trying to make his face jut out like in a monkey style. He don't even have to do all that. He looks kind of monkeyish anyway without even having to do that. You know what I'm saying? But he's gonna say that her face, her phenotype, you know, your phenotype don't. And then he puts his face like this. This is where we should draw the line on this whole like FBA delineation from other people. Where does it end? Where does it get like kind of just disrespectful, bro? And why is it disrespectful? Why is it like this? Let's go.
First, that's number one. So we our head, no disrespect, but our head shapes are. That's not our head shapes. So even this one, look at this one. We don't look like that. Our women don't look like that. Our Black American women do not look like that. You got some booger whoops. I love Black American women, but we got some.
Now, there was a time where there was like colorism. There was a paper bag test, but this is getting way more disrespectful. Okay, let's go.
Booger whoops, but on average, the booger whoops don't even look, like that sometimes. Sometimes they do, but not the head shape and all that. Clearly, your phenotype is not of our phenotype and our lineage. So you're not American, lady. Stop it. You're a woman. You're not going to do anything to anybody. You can't fight. You're not going to beat up a man. So all this masculine, what you're going to do to me? Are you going to still? You're going to steal my plantano? You're not going to do nothing to nobody, bitch. Go sit your.
Why is she got to be a bitch though? Do you understand how, like, why does it have to be like, yeah, sit down, bitch? Like, why are you so capping so hard for the ICE agents? I don't understand, like, why is that B so hard on that itch? He really said that hard. Like, bro, for real, you have that much hatred for other Black people from other places in the like Caribbean and whatever that you just want to call her like that hard, really? Just because she's taking up her son and she's angry that her son got like detained? Like this type of stuff, I don't think if Tariq Nasheed, he needs to check a certain level of when it gets like this, Tariq Nasheed needs to say that is not my rhetoric. Because that's what's going to happen is that people are going to come out with stuff like this, and then the FBI and the CIA, whatever the hell, the alphabet boys are going to think that, oh, okay, this is what the rhetoric of the FBA movement is. And that has happened to so many other movements. I don't even know if this guy is really a plant just trying to make it worse and make the whole thing look bad and just mean and just disrespectful. But to me, I don't think if it's a lineage, why are we cussing out people that ain't got nothing to do with our lineage? Her fighting for her son has nothing to do with our lineage. Why is she now a bitch though? And I know I wasn't raised to like talk like this to people. So especially a man talking to a woman like this, what lineage is that? That's not FBA lineage. You don't talk to nobody like that. Like, so I'm as much as we're going to claim a lineage, there's also culture that goes beyond that lineage. And there's no culture in America that I know of, Black American, that talks to a woman that actually probably is older than he is, has a child his age, to talk to her and call her a bitch like this, So at what point do we have to learn that, we are just, this is a level of disrespect that come on now, bro, what are we doing here?
Down. And I don't know why you over here big and talking. You notice these immigrants, like her, not all immigrants. I'm not throwing all y'all under the bus, right? Because you got some cool Jamaicans, you got some cool, I know some cool Africans, I know some cool Caribbeans. I'm not talking about all of y'all, right? But ones like this, y'all be having, why do y'all come over to America and have this newfound like frame of mind of like wanting to just fight against and you so, yeah, the government is doing the government is going.
Honey, listen, they grabbed her son, threw him on the ground. He's in high school. You're saying they have a new frame of mind? Honey, anyone would have that frame of mind if they found out their son was thrown down to the floor by ICE and beat up. Once again, crazy, bro. Crazy work. Let's go.
To do something to me, and I don't want that. Why you didn't have this energy back in your homeland where you had to flee from? Why y'all never have this energy back home? You should have this energy back home. All this energy, all this right here, all this.
Okay, you okay?
Why don't you have an original thought? Why are you repeating Tariq Nasheed's verbiage exactly and simultaneously? Why? You know what I'm saying? Why don't you have your own talking points? Why do you sound like a carbon? If Tariq Nasheed is not paying him to do this, then he needs to actually like say, you know what? Don't be saying my little words, whatever. Don't be trying to take my little talking points. Let me live. Because all he doing is repeating Tariq Nasheed's talking points with his own little stake on it. But it's not really
Hey, are you okay? Oh, stupid Bitch, that's why you gotta hide your face.
You want
That's why y'all hiding your face. You couldn't do nothing to me. You're not going to do something. You're that about me. Like, have this energy back in your homeland and go against them people. And maybe you wouldn't have to flee over to America. And maybe you wouldn't have to deal with having to deal with ICE. Somebody said I sound Irish. Shut up. Maybe you wouldn't have to deal with ICE. Maybe you wouldn't have to deal with none of this stuff if you would just go back to your homeland and have this energy against your own people that are causing drama and issues in your own homeland. You don't want to do that. You come over to America and want to do all this big and bad talk. You're not even American. You're not American. You're not American. This includes everybody. If your people have not been here since the inception of this country, you're not American. I don't give a damn where you came from. I don't care if you came from European. Europeans aren't American. To me, you only American if you've been here from the inception. And who are the people that's been here from the inception? We know who the people were that's been here from the inception. Okay. I consider, some of y'all might not, but I consider the white Anglos, I consider them American, and I consider the people who were here, us, right? And the people who had an ethnogenesis, which was us, those are the only Americans. Everybody else, you just here. You just fled somewhere. I didn't.
Now, what the hell does that got to do with the fact that she's upset her son got locked up? She's not American, so she does not have the right to speak out for her child, who isn't American, by the way. Now, she might not, whatever you want to say, she ain't American because she came from over the boat and moved here, but her son was born in America, so he's very much American. I don't get it. Let's go.
Flee nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So you're not American. I don't care what your paperwork say. To me, you're not American. You got the paperwork all day. There's a difference between being American by blood and American by paperwork. All y'all motherfuckers is tethers. And if you're not a tether, if you're a cool person, then you're just American by paperwork. It's a big difference. It just is what it is. I don't care if I was born here. I don't care. Now, about this dude right here. Pay attention to the words that they were using that I was speaking on earlier. And he's a citizen. He's a citizen. Somebody is screaming at. But just listen. First of all, notice that this is Chicago. Anybody in Chicago know how Black Americans in Chicago talk and sound. Hey, shorty. Yeah, I just bought a new car. They say words a certain way. Their accent is a certain way. Chicago and St. Louis kind of sound similar, but Chicago has a very distinct accent in how they sound. And if you're from the Midwest, you know how somebody from Cleveland sound. You know how somebody from Detroit sound. You know how somebody from Chicago sound. You can tell the way people speak and their dialect. You can tell. This is not somebody that me personally, I think is even from Chicago, listening to the way he speaks. See, this is how Black Americans can check we can check your temperature just by looking at the way that you dress, looking at the way that you speak, looking at your hairline, looking at your phenotype. All these things are easy to tell.
Honey, he is a Tariq Nasheed. Like, child, he has no original thought. I mean, Tariq Nasheed needed to come up with like a textbook, but he don't even need to do that because they didn't memorized everything he said, and now they are just going on their panel and just repeating everything he said. No original thought whatsoever. Add your own original thought to it. Why just completely say exactly and just repeat exactly what Tariq Nasheed said? Just zero original thought pattern whatsoever. None.
He's a citizen!
This is the moment federal agents held a 19-year-old man to the ground outside a Chicago convenience store.
I'm telling them I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm here. I'm legal.
A Black American wouldn't have to say, I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm here. I'm legal.
First of all, if ICE is taking you down and you don't have your birth certificate on you or your ID, please, guys, please make sure you have all your paperwork on you because. And then here's the thing: something could happen to you, and no one would have any remorse because they just think it's like, oh, okay, business as usual. You must be a tether, then you must be a tether. You must be from Haiti. And you say, no, I'm not a tether. I'm my great super duper whoop great from 1821, whatever the hell it is. No, you're a tether. These people are crazy, bro. This whole thing, this tether thing, is insanity on steroids. You know what I'm saying? It's just insanity.
Keep going though. And again, I'm not right. What I will not sit here and do is act like I'm taking the side of because regardless, even though I support ICE getting these illegals,
They do.
I don't fuck with half of the motherfuckers just off the strength of they still a part of the same system. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, I ain't pro none of that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm indifferent about a lot of this shit when it comes to this though. So I'm not trying to go cops and go. I want them to get these illegals out of here. But I'm not gonna sit here and also act like I haven't seen things that were unjustified or I thought was too much. You feel me? But if you over here illegally, then I don't care. You can get your on. But I do think sometimes they've done things where people who have been legal, where I don't think it's warranted or justified. You know what I'm saying?
You're double talking. Like, what exactly? Say what you mean and mean what you say, bro. You double talking. Just ramble. I think he might have be on the spectrum in some way, ADHD, autism, whatever the spectrum is. I definitely think that he is not. I believe he's neurodivergent. I think so much, very much so.
Yeah. But my thing is not that this happened, but I don't like. First of all, again, his accent does not sound like a Chicago accent. If you're 19, you're gonna sound like somebody from Chicago, and if you listen to him,
I'm telling them I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm here. I'm legal. I'm born here. So they didn't try to hear none of that though.
He don't even sound like somebody that has a Chicago accent. He doesn't sound like somebody that grew up in Chicago. And even if he did, again, he said, "I'm here. I'm a citizen. I'm legal." A Black American wouldn't have to say that. I'm a citizen. I'm legal. They're gonna be like, "I'm a Black American." I'm a citizen. I'm a citizen.
You don't know what a person's gonna say if they're being thrown to the ground. So to say that it's gonna go down like this or go down like that, sir, you don't know how it's gonna go down. So no, I'm not buying into that bullshit either.
I mean, you came from somewhere else. Let's keep going though.
King say he was taken into custody, but released later that day.
I just graduated high school, so they could come from literally anybody, and that's not right.
He don't have a Chicago accent whatsoever. So the reason why I'm showing y'all this is because I don't want y'all to get mixed up into getting this fear of like, oh, they gonna come and get us. They coming to get us. They ain't coming to get nobody. And some of the things where Black Americans who have been caught up with ICE, who have been by proxy, is because of I'm not a Republican, but because of these Democratic politicians that people put in power. Chicago, for example, when they was just talking about how ICE is going in there.
Wait, hold on. He tried to blame. Hold on. Let me go back to this. Let me see what he just said.
When they was just talking about how ICE is going in there and they're getting all these Hispanics and stuff, but the Black people are being, taken up top by proxy. Well, they may assume that these Black people are here illegally, maybe because maybe they may be African or Caribbean, but y'all got to blame these local politicians that put these people in our communities that nobody wants to call them out. Everybody want to blame Trump. You know what I'm saying? But Trump ain't the reason why these illegals are in your community. Why they're allowed to not even just illegals, but just people that are just over here in general. They dump them in our communities. They don't dump them in the white communities. They dump them in our. And these Democratic leaders, these local Democratic politicians are in Black American cities creating these things. So we're getting dealt with by proxy because of the local people that are in charge who don't get held accountable. And Chicago is a perfect example of it. Brandon Johnson is incompetent, and he's just as incompetent. I don't think he's as bad as Lori Lightfoot. With her electrocuted bumping, but they both one and the same at the end of the day. They both one and the damn same. And you got the Hebrew Israelites. These don't know what they want to be. They Pan-African Hebrew Israelite. Man, watch out, dude. Man, watch out. They love that the Hebrew Israelite. It's stuff that they be doing is just so. Man, I don't even want to get into it, but they miss me with that shit. Joe Biden, 22 million. He's to blame. Yeah, all of them is to blame. All of them is to blame. But I think.
So I don't know what's been going on with the Hebrew Israelites and everybody saying, they be scamming and doing this and that. I don't know, but there's something going on. However, it does not give a young man a pass to talk that way to a woman. That has nothing to do with this conversation or anything I'd be talking about or allowing. So,
locally, more so locally, it needs to be a situation where people are calling out these local politicians in these Black cities. If they think Chicago is something, they got something coming if they go to Baltimore. I know Baltimore got a lot of them immigrants too. And here you go. You got, don't let this type of stuff fool y'all. You got bitches like
I will say this is that, all this like, well, they ain't found nothing out until they come to my city, till they come to the hood. Honey, it's the National Guard, bro. They get trained and stuff like this. If they come to your hood, hopefully it's not a wartime mission. But to think that you are just so clever that it could never happen to you, well, honey, think again. Unless you learn how to run, okay? And you might be too big to run, so let's go.
Like this. That's why I'm 10 toes down on black women, because we're always the first ones to really get in the field. Everyone else hides behind us after we throw the first brick. Yeah, that's happening. Bitch, you ain't never threw a brick in your life. And you ain't never threw a brick in your life. It be bitches like this that ain't never did nothing for the community, just sit on Twitter all day.
And what are you doing, sir? You're just sitting on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok all day. Like, so what are you? So you just made all these jump assists. Listen, I have an issue with black men that in their mind feel like they need to talk to women this way. You don't need to traumatize a woman just to talk to her.
Just post memes and it's probably a fucking bot page. It's probably not even a real person. It's probably a fucking Indian somewhere across the fucking world somewhere tweeting shit like this. Don't let people like this put a bad, taste in your mouth when it comes to black women. Don't let that shit happen. A lot of these fucking pages, they either are.
See, he really want to be with a woman like this. Cause why is he even on? It has an LGBT on there. This might not even be a woman. But he on here just pointing her out with her boobs and everything. So this is really who he like. She may or may not be a woman. It says she's strict, and it has like the rainbow. She's gay. So there's a lot going on right here.
Or this bitch could be a fucking tether. We don't know. Or she could just be a hating ass bitch.
A whole transgender. And why are you looking at her profile?
Even if she is black American, just a hating ass bitch. So don't let this type of shit, all this shit right here, this is just division between black men and women, and I don't push that. So don't let shit like that.
So he's saying he don't push division between black and women, but he gonna call the mother of the guy that went through that a bitch. Now, what if that black boy sees this live? And so you don't think that you're gonna have to one day like reconcile for that? You don't think that you just call his mom like all type of names? People need to chill out on the social media talking so reckless about stuff, man. People need to chill that shit out, bro. Cause it ain't that hard to get dealt with, bro. Chill out.
Clouds our judgment, you feel me? But again, niggas like this still not our problem, huh? Y'all blind.
This guy is a high school student that got tackled down by the ICE. He say he is an American citizen. His mother says she is one too. I did not see ICE attack her and say come to the ICE facility, but her son did. So I mean, what you want me to say, bro?
It's everybody problem, man. ICE gonna get us, man. Look at this old ass. Oh, head. You got the shit in your bio. You old ass nigga talking. Go ahead. We're gonna go and vote to the polls, brother. Get the fuck out of here, nigga.
Oh, he calling him an old ass nigga.
Right? Ass.
Let me explain something to you, young man. You are gonna get old one day, sir. I hope that you make it to his age. People need to chill, bro. All that bravado, testosterone. I don't know if you like hitting some tea, but you got like so much testosterone, bro. Just so much, but really ain't got really none at the same time. Let's go.
It be just like all these look alike too. What type of fucking goatee is this? I ain't never seen a nigga have a goatee straight.
Bro, he's so mad. He just attacking goatees. Man, I'm not gonna listen to that bullshit. Get back to it.
More than likely. Don't get that shit twisted. And this bitch is damn sure a fucking Caribbean immigrant. So
Well, you know what? She's not a bitch. That's the main thing. That's the biggest part, is that we need to, you know what? That's why I wanted to bring my next video up, because I believe that we need to wake the fuck up, okay? It's listen. We black men need to wake up, okay?
To be here early. They gave me another assignment. They didn't pick me up to go to the assignment. I followed their instructions and waited at the hotel. I would love to be here when I can be more fully in depth on this subject, because there's a whole lot of illusions about Africa's relationship with other people in the world. There's a whole lot of illusion about our relationship to the religions in the world. And these belief systems that had its origin in Africa, all of them, and there is no exception, turned on African people. I said there is no exception. And there's one thing you have to get through your mind and keep it. Nothing that ever came from the European mind was meant to do anything but facilitate European domination of the world. And I said there's no exception. Everything that was brought into this continent, everything, every idea, every so-called religion was meant to dominate and to control. The Arabs had no illusions about it. The Europeans had no illusions about it. You were the ones with the illusions. And yet every element that went into the making of every major religion in the world started in Africa. Why is it that you are so naive? You let people redress something that you invented, sell it back to you, and enslave you through it. I'm saying that all organized present religions are male chauvinist murder cults. And I say there is no exception. Why I wanted to be here earlier, I wanted to deal with our relationship with the people of the world and the fact that we created peaceful nations that had no word for jail because no one had ever gone to one. No word for old people's home because no one ever threw them away, grandma and grandpa. No word for orphanages. We did all of this, and over half of human civilization was over before we knew that a European was in the world. Before he wore a shoe or lived in a house that had a window. Now, Africa has always and still is the prize for the whole world. We as a people have always been the world's richest people, culturally rich, mineral rich. We have always been the prize because we have always had and still have something that other people won't, think they can't do without, and don't care to pay for. Because we have always been the prize, we have been under siege for over 3,000 years. Nothing that ever brought into Africa from the outside was meant to do the African any good. That means all other religions. Islam was the handmaiden of Arab imperialism. Christianity was the handmaiden of European imperialism. The Hebrew faith was the handmaiden of a concept called the chosen people. Now, if God is kind and God is merciful and God has no stepchildren, he won't choose one over the other. And to say he chose some people, you're making him a bigot. And to say that he endorsed enslavement of one people over the other, you're making him an accessory to murder. The Arabs used Islam to rationalize their slavery and their imperialism. The Europeans used Christianity to rationalize their slavery and imperialism. Who are you kidding about friends in the world? Damn it, if you want a friend, look in the mirror. There's 1 billion African people on the face of this earth. Why are you buying third-rate junk from third-rate people thinking you can't make it? Why don't you at least make a safety pin to hold your child's diaper together? Teach. Who has programmed your mind into thinking you can't make a car? The first man that made a car that had never seen one previously. Teach. The Japanese bought cars, bought locomotives, broke them down and studied them, and had a Japanese technician produce each piece, put it together, and had a much better train than the one they copied from. All knowledge in the world belongs to everybody in the world. Yes. Who has programmed our mind in assuming that we cannot run a nation and run it well? The main thing imperialism did, slavery and imperialism, that they removed African people from the respectful commentary of history. And they tell them something they are still telling them, and all of the organized religions are guilty of this. I favor none of it because Africa didn't need any of it. I'm saying that African belief systems, properly understood, is 10 times better than Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And better for the African. Now you might have some romance with one of these religions. I have no romance with any of them. I have a romance with reality and truth. And the chips can fall where they may after I tell it. As for friends, you have had no friends. When they discovered you, they began to prey on you. Now let's look at our relationship with Western Asia, mistakenly called the Middle East. For 3,000 years, our greatest enemies came from Western Asia. They were trying to avenge the fact that they were once African colonies. You read a book called When Egypt Ruled the East, and you get some of the basic information on this. Now, the first visitors to Africa came in the 1700s BC. These were the people who would later be called Hebrews. Now, black people are ticklish on this because black people think that everything in the Bible is true. I question the intelligence of anyone who thinks everything in the Bible is true or supposed to be true. It's allegory, stories told to illustrate a point at a time when there were very few people reading books. And most of what went into the making of the Bible was copied from Egyptian texts. Now, if you want to get so dewy-eyed over the Bible, which is a carbon copy of a carbon copy, why don't you go back and read the original Egyptian text? Then you see where all these stories started from. You see where the story of the Exodus started from. Now, you get so dewy-eyed, you actually think there was an Exodus. These people walked into Africa. Why couldn't they walk out? Why did they have to go by sea? Why did they see at the park? If you read Egyptian literature, you will discover that the whole story of somebody parting the sea started with about 3,000 years before the Hebrew entrance. I should not use the word Hebrew entrance, before the entrance from Western Asia. Now let's get one thing straight, because black people are confused about all religions. Now I'm not against any religion. I'm a very spiritual human being. I just don't need a preacher to preach no 10 Commandments to me when he's a backslider going with some sister, some other man's wife. I'm intelligent enough to pick from the 10th commandment, not commandments anyway, but they were omissions of purity at the great school at Luxor, the great African training school. All right, now, let's get into this Western Asia. I'm saying that the people who came from Western Asia escaping famine did not have any Hebrew faith when they came into Africa. And there's no record of a Hebrew faith before there. Why is it that when they left Africa in the so-called Exodus, they had all three? African culture, an African religion, and an African language. Now look at the origin of so-called people you now refer to as Jews. And you're mistaken using that reference because the word Jew is of European origin. And the people in Europe who call themselves by their name have no relationship to the biblical people of the Hebrew faith. And I'm saying that the people we now call Jews entered world history with their visit to Africa. And when Africa was invaded, 1675 BC, instead of joining the Africans who had been their beneficiary and saved them from starvation, they joined the enemies of Africa. No one has ever returned any favors to us. As a people, we have always been hospitable to strangers, mostly the wrong strangers. And what we have to understand now, in the period of superior brainwashing, is there is no European answer for African problems. Either Africans find a solution to African problems, or there is no solution, and if you don't find a solution soon, you go back into slavery. We have to stop all of this nonsense about who belongs to what religion when all of them were imposed on us in the first place. We stop all this fight between Muslims and Christians when neither one of the religions are doing them any good or moving them toward independence. All of them are handmaids of conquerors. All of them are religions of conquerors. We were naive when we accepted their interpretation of something that we had all along. I'm saying we need to take a good look at ourselves. I'm not talking about burning churches. I'm not talking about getting rid of religions. Understand me well. I am saying that every single thing that touches your life, religious, socially, and politically, must be an instrument of your liberation, or you must throw it into the ash can of history. Develop a liberation Islam. Yes. And if you develop a liberation Islam, you have to turn on the supreme slave traders who were in the slave trade 1,000 years before the Europeans, the Arabs. Yes. And most brothers who think they're Muslims are merely Arabists. Forerunners, vanguards of Arab propaganda. The Arabs are not above joining the Jews against black people. In America, they're already doing it in Detroit. In America, they're already doing it in real estate. You got some dewy-eyed thing that you got a friend. I still ask you to look at that mirror. And if nothing staring back at you is friendly, then you've got no friend. But this is why you start friends. All right. I'm saying something which you need to reconsider. I'm saying that everything that came into Africa, every people that came into Africa, did not come to do Africa any good. Everyone and every religion and every people who came into Africa declared war on African cultures. They began the bastardization of African people, created confused mulatto who didn't know whether he to be loyal to his mother's people or his father's people. That confusion is still here. The fascination for the color of the conqueror and the fascination to go to bed with the conqueror. Now that's raw and mean, but it's true. Now, some time ago, a North African leader, Gaddafi, was sending some Libyans to study in Europe. And he told them what any good nationalist would tell students going to study: I'm not sending you to Europe to find a wife. I'm sending you to Europe to gain the technology to come back and make Libya a strong nation, a strong Islamic nation, and a strong Arab nation. And you cannot achieve any of this between the legs of a European woman. 20 is somebody going to get strong enough to tell Africans going to school, you're going to come back home and pair up with a sister. But if you want to pair up over there, stay over there. Now, the one thing we have to look at, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to conclude on this because I've left out a body of information. At the university, I teach an entire course, semester course, on Africa's relationship to other people. And I devote several semesters to Africa before Europe, the consequences of the coming of the Greeks, who stole a lot that they think is their culture, stole a lot that you think is Greek philosophy. We've been the victims of propaganda. And yet, if you read the Journal of African Civilization, other works, we have lived in Europe, we've lived in Asia, we've lived in the Americas. The African people have already proved that they can get along with different people, amalgamate their culture with different people without one hint of a war between us. People who come into Africa immediately declare war on African culture, standards of beauty, standards of conduct, and change the African concept of theirs so they can rule through him. This was true of the Greeks, who began the bastardization, again, the European bastardization of Africa. The Western Asians had begun it 3,000 years before that. The Romans, a bunch of well-dressed thugs who could write well but couldn't think, who borrowed practically everything. They laughed at the Africans' concept of Christianity. The African was practicing and not giving it a name. This is why you don't know nothing about the African origins of Christianity. This is why a whole lot of people will not read Ben Yakinen's The African Origins of the Major Western Religions, Africa, Mother of Western Civilization, a Black Man of the Nile. Because he's telling it like it is, but you also will not read white radicals who identified Africa as the origin of the great religions of the world, especially Alvin Boyd Kuhn in his work, Who is This King of Glory? In Shadow of the 3rd Century. We have dealt with John Jackson, another radical black historian, with Man, God, and Civilization. We let some of our great scholars die in hunger, die wanting for friendship. Now, having devoted my greater portion of my life to scholarship and teaching and digging up information on African people and trying to make African people face reality, I have often said, a point that I wish you to consider, I didn't have to do it. I chose to do it, and if I had to do it over again, I would do it better. I have a lot of talent other than the talent to teach and to research. I've never met a rich man who had a better mind than me. So if I wanted to succeed as a rich man, I could have done that. I never met a crook who wasn't a fool. I could have been a good crook if I chose to be a crook. I chose to be a teacher of African history. I chose to look in the Bible where I couldn't find my people. I started looking for them in the world, and I didn't stop until I found them. And I know why they are left out of the Bible. I know why all the angels are white. You mean to tell me God is merciful, God is kind, and not one little brown or black angel sneaked into heaven? I ain't buying that. Now the Bible that you get so dewy-eyed over is one of the greatest pieces of propaganda ever written. If you want to read the Bible, why don't you read the Bible one day and read Mein Kampf the next day and see the comparison? That's hard on your mind. Because you think if you don't have Christianity, Islam, or Judaism, you don't have to have spirituality. I've got more spirituality after I put all of them down. And I've got more religion after I put all of them down. All right, now let me conclude something that has no conclusion. We have to look at the impact of Europeans on Africa. All impacts have been negative. The Romans laughed at the early African Christians. Finally, for political reasons, they stopped killing Christians and became Christians. I'm saying the Europeans became Christians for political reasons, as the Arabs became Muslim for political reasons, and as the so-called Jews became Hebrews for political reasons. People use organizations for political reasons, and what we get so dewy-eyed and think we're dealing with the truth. If you look at indigenous African belief systems, if you look at the idea when Africans had no churches of any consequence because these fools came here and said, this is the house of God, and the African looked at that church and said, if God who made the wind, the spring, made the ocean roll, and you're going to tell me he can fit into a little thing you call a church? That is no house of God. So some Africans had the common sense enough to move away from it, and some had the common sense to put it down. I'm saying that you're closer to God when the further away you get away from organized religions that are all handmaidens of conquest. The Roman Empire developed during the early period of Christianity. Remember, the Roman Empire started in Africa. It rose in Africa. It fell in Africa. A lot of people need to stop reading some religious books and read some straight history without fable, without supposition, without myth. Read straight history. Read the Mediterranean world in ancient times. She's a racist. It's bigger, but her chronology is good. And there's a good history of the European trying to move out of Europe into the Mediterranean to find something to eat, to put on that gosh darn awful European food. He has solved his problem at the expense of other people. The slave trade liberated Europe from the depressed economy they had created with the so-called Crusades and through the famines and the plagues. Europe always solves its problems by preying on people outside of Europe. They are in a position right now that they have betrayed true socialism, which was not of European origin in the first place. And some people are confused between Karl Marx and Groucho Marx. I think a lot of people are Groucho Marxism instead of Karl Marxism. They're funny people. And if you think that that system started in Europe, no system as humane as socialism could have started among a bunch of icebox people who prey on their brothers for their breakfast. Read Kwame Colson's work, The History of the Modern World, especially the early chapters. Now, the evidence of Africans in the New World, the evidence of 1,000 years of civilization before slavery, all of this I'm not discussing because there is no time. But when the Romans disgraced themselves in the mismanagement of Christianity, they created a vacuum. Islam moved into that vacuum. The Africans thought that Islam would get the Romans off of their back. They were right. Islam got the Romans off of their back, and the Arabs jumped on their back, and they're still there, using Islam to justify it. Now, the African military man, because we are the greatest fighting machine in the face of the earth, if we ever discovered this, people gonna start running. Under proper leadership, proper inspiration, properly equipped, the black man is the greatest human fighting machine God ever created. If indeed God created it. I think the gods of Africa created it. Once you lose track of your heritage, you lose track of your liberty in this world. The Europeans doing the slave trade not only read the African out of history, they colonized history, they colonized information about history, they colonized image, they colonized the image of God. Who told you Christ was white? He was born in that part of the world predominantly occupied by non-European people. So you should not get into the argument about whether he's white. All you have to say, was he a Greek? No. Was he a Roman? No. But these were the only people partially white in the area at the time. If he wasn't a Greek, he wasn't a Roman, he was one of those other people. You don't have to argue about the shades of color. So far as you're concerned, once you establish he was not a woman, he was not a Greek, your conversation is over. Now, if somebody else want to argue about his shade, well, that's their problem. Then if you got a problem with color, then you got a problem with your mother and your father. You have insulted your mother and your father if you don't like what they gave you. I wear mine like a badge of honor. I dig it. I wear it well.
All right. Love it.
I'm saying in closing, and I am closing, that what you have to do is take a holistic look. Not only at your position in the world, but your potential in the world. You have to learn how to convert everything into an instrument of liberation or leave it alone. You have to realize there were no Greek fraternities and sororities until they were introduced to secret African societies. People get all dewy-eyed over something that was imposed on them in order to control them without understanding that. That's another imperial effort. So it bothers me. And although I have good personal friends who are Muslim, not a single Muslim scholar have dealt with that 1,000 years of African independence before slavery and how the Arabs from the north systematically destroyed these nations. It did not occur. 1591, from Morocco, an army was launched against these great independent nations in inner West Africa. These were great states. And because of poor communication between African and African, there was enough armies in these states to march down to the coast and to drive every slave trader into the sea. But the communication between African and African was so poor. Even today, the East Africa is not too clear about what's happening in West Africa. And nobody knows what's happening in North Africa because the conspiracy to hold on to Africa is happening in South Africa and in North Africa. So the whites in South Africa willing to play a part, and the pseudo-whites in North Africa willing to play a part. In all this world, you have no friends. But if there are a billion of you on the face of this earth scattered all over the world, what do you need with a friend other than yourself? Why can't you turn inward on yourself and say, I will wear no clothes I don't produce. Start with your underwear. I wear no shoes that's not made by a brother. You're creating a shoe factory, employment at once. Start buying airplanes, break them down and study them, later on make airplanes. What this whole thing is about is the restoration of confidence. It has been the role of these handmaidens of colonialism to destroy your confidence in yourself. You don't believe that you can look like a god. You don't believe a black father in your home is to some extent a God. That doesn't make the black woman less than a goddess, because we produced the first human societies that recognized and respected the female God. We produced the first human society that said you can't be a king unless you got a queen. You can't be a god unless you got a goddess. So you can see all of these social ills that people are defending now, none of it started in our countries. I defy anyone alive, and those who want to come alive, come back and prove me, I invite them too, to show me one single case of sexual deviance or maladjustment any place on the African continent before the coming of foreigners. I defy you to show me one case of teenage pregnancy, one case of ill treatment of women. We got confused with someone else's ideas, someone else's concept and definition of us. What we have to understand is that faith has not spared us for an idle reason. A whole lot of people who've been hit less than us are extinct. What is there in us that made us strong enough to take this heavy blow? 500 years of slavery, one way or the other. Slavery, neo-colonialism. What made us strong enough to survive? What is faith saved us to do? And inasmuch as we gave the world its first humanity, faith has saved us to give the world its last humanity. What we have to do is to believe it, to believe that we are worthy of it, and to believe that we are capable of it. What black studies should be about, what black religion should be about, is the restoration of the confidence. And the restoration of the confidence is we must rule the state again. There is not an imitation nation, an independent nation in Africa or the Caribbean islands. They're all imitation European states. And what we have to understand is that the nation state is stagnant. The African did not live in a nation state, he lived in a territorial state. The African learned something that's very basic. Cultures have to be fertilized by cultures. People have to be fertilized by the interaction between cultures and cultures. This insecure European tightened his borders. You know, you got a passport to come here? The word passport is not in any African language. The things he invented to restrict himself, he imposed on other people. Once we gain confidence in ourselves, and once we look at that person staring back at us from that mirror and like what we see, and don't move from that mirror until you like what you see. Then, in coordination with other African people throughout the world, we will give the world a new lease on life. We will turn to all of our people and not one part of them, because we came from a matrilineal society that respected women to the point the lineage came down to the female side. We must answer the call of the great African-American poet, Margaret Walker, who said, "Let the dirges end, let a new peace begin. Let us write a new covenant for the freedom of ourselves in the world." African men throughout the world need to step forward and answer Sister Margaret and say, "Sister Margaret, we have heard your call, and because we have never been a society that excluded women, with our women at our side, we are ready to pick up the challenge. We are ready to start a revolution that will change the world. We won't get ready tomorrow because tomorrow's things are left to tomorrow. We will start our revolution right now, and we will start it with ourselves. Thank you.
Since we have run over our time, I'm not quite sure what I should do since we have run over our time, but I know that there are some people who and we will try to have maybe just 2 or 3 questions. I see a hand. You'll have to speak very loudly.
Syria is saying we really have